Sailing, Celestial Dragons in the chat group. Author, the chicken is merciful. Synopsis. Before time travel, Celestial Dragons are garbage. After time travel, Celestial Dragons should enjoy the admiration of the world. Roy traveled through the world of pirates, became Celestial Dragons, and got a chat group as cheat. Kill the powerful, plunder their legends, and then use divine power to make them your own precious phantom. Asts, the strong should trample on the weak like Roy did. Uchiha, we are all time travelers. Why am I a scumbag? But you can hug me on both sides. Tsurutataka, brother Roy is actually a good person. Liu, you were the first person who almost beat me to death. I will never remove the mark you left on me. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, you are truly worthy of being a scumbag and a noble man of the world. Chapter 1 Friendly and Mutual Help Chat Group. See Circle Calendar 1498. Holy Place, Mary E. Joyce. Roy Saint, breakfast is ready for you. The beauty with short blonde curly hair and gorgeous appearance stood respectfully by the bed, her eyes full of admiration that could make a man feel happy. Roy responded casually and sat up from the luxurious bed based on Bozu Adam. The reason for his lackadaisical attitude towards this beauty is not because he is a Celestial Dragons or because he hates womanizing. Just because the blonde beauty next to me is named Stussy. Stussy is a member of World Government CP0, a clone, the future queen of the Pleasure District, and will follow Vegapunk to betray World Government in the future. Although people are beautiful, they are not trustworthy and need to find opportunities to educate them. Ignoring a dozen women who fainted from exhaustion around him, accompanied by Stussy, Roy yawned and walked towards a restaurant that was much more luxurious than a national palace. The ingredients for the delicacies on the table come from the dangerous waters of the Grand Line and the world. In order for Tanlong people to enjoy these delicacies every day, countless people have lost their lives and their families have been destroyed. This is the Tanlong people. Use this to test Cardas, who can resist the temptation. Lamenting his own depravity in his heart, Roy slowly sat down and began to receive oral feeding from Stussy and another beauty. It is worth mentioning that this beauty who served Roy together with Stussy, and the dozen or so before her, were not ordinary people from ordinary civilian families. They are princesses, queens, and even mothers of kings from Grand Line in various franchised and non-franchised countries. But even if they are pampered and noble people, when they stay with the Celestial Dragons, they must learn to be polite and serve them carefully. Contrary to what many people think, this is actually not a punishment, but a reward. It is something that their fathers, husbands, and sons can show off in front of the nobles of other kingdoms. This is the Celestial Dragon, the god and creator of this world. At the same time, he is also the biggest moth and scum in the world. In his previous life, Roy naturally hated this group of people and wished they could all die. After time travel, this feeling of disgust has not weakened at all, but has become more serious. These privileges should only be enjoyed by me and my family. Why are these pigs and trash like me? Cursing the other trash Dracos in his heart, Roy enjoyed the food peacefully. Suddenly, a pleasant voice sounded in his ears. Friendly mutual aid chat group is being bound. Do you want to bind it? I'm dressed as a Celestial Dragon, and there's cheat? Stopping his movements very naturally, Roy calmly ordered, you guys go down first, take those women away too. Yes, Roy Saint. Although they were a little confused that the adult in front of them did not tease them as usual during the meal today, Stussy and the queen named Anne did not dare to disobey his orders at all. Soon, a group of people disappeared at the door. Use observation haki to sense it and make sure there is no one else around. Roy held his breath and concentrated, silently chanting in his heart, binding successful. The unidentifiable male and female voices sounded in Roy's ears, but they were very pleasant. A chat interface similar to the penguin in Roy's previous life immediately appeared in his mind. But before Roy could take a closer look, a flood of messages flooded his screen. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, you too, I saw the Yukino-shita sisters you told me about. My younger sister Yukino is a cold beauty, and my older sister Yangno is surprisingly kind. She is not as scary as you said. Uchiha, isn't that right? Both of them are iconic beauties, right? Damn it. Why can't I travel to your world? Why do I have to kill people on the battlefield every day? Asts, at Uchiha, haven't you fully adapted to the time travel for several months? Trampling the weak is the prerogative of the strong, and those with power should never run away from the battlefield. Uchiha, but the purpose of becoming stronger is just to hang out with pretty girls. Yamato Genryu's whispered, at Uchiha, Ace is rough in words but not rough in reasoning. In a world like the Hokage with frequent wars, if you don't kill others, others will come to kill you. You must not relax at all. Uchiha, I know, I won't show mercy to my enemies. Yamato Genryu's whispered, just understand it yourself. Yamato Genryu's whispered, at Kasumigaoka Shiyu, don't be deceived by Yukino-shita Haruno's disguise. That woman will play with things she likes when she sees them, and she won't show mercy when she encounters things she hates. Her appearance, but she looks like a kind and amiable young lady. Damn, she looks exactly like Aizen from the Shinigami world. I really hate these shady people. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, is this so? I understand, I will be careful. Kasumigaoka Shiha, by the way, my light novel Shinigami-sama Won't Fall in Love with You Akainu Slut has been published in 5 volumes, with total sales of 2.5 million, crushing my debut work Love Metronomits here. I can't understand, is it so popular for women to fall in love with women? Tasakasura, congratulations to Shiba-sama. I heard you say before that the light novel had sold an average of 500,000 volumes before it was animated. Isn't it already a phenomenon? Yukai Hamuki, yes, in my previous life. Even comics with a larger audience in Japan were quite popular if they had 500,000 volumes before they were animated. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, "Shh, although I really want to congratulate you, it turns out that I still don't like being tied to that idiot." Yukai Hamuki, who are you calling an info? Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, "What do you think, pervert?" Yukai Hamuki, damn it. Just wait, Shinigami girl. Violent maniac. When I awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, I must awaken the most powerful illusion eye technique. Tasakasura, Phantom Genjutsu pupil technique. Yukai Hamuki, that's right. It's the same ability as Aizen's Kyoku Suigetsu's complete hypnosis. Damn. That guy Aizen really doesn't know how to cherish it. How wonderful this ability is for me. Irairi, Yukino, Hirano, Shiwa, Asts, Saba, Little Sakura and your sister and mother he. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. Tasakasura. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, you are indeed a terrible slut. Not only did you target me, but you also targeted Little Sakura's mother. Tasakasura, me, Miyuki-senpai, if anything happens, just come to me. Please don't bully my sister and mother. Asts, HMPH. As long as you are stronger than me, it doesn't matter even if you use 100,000 illusions on me. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, ahem. I said we should pause for a while. Didn't you notice that a new person just joined? Yukai Hamuki. A newcomer? Really? Which world is the newcomer from? Is it an original character or a time traveler? Is she a beautiful girl? Kasumigaoka Shiyu, this is when the role of the traveler comes into play. Do the eldest lady and the idiot know this newcomer? Yukai Hamuki, I don't know, but Nirona Roy Saint. This name sounds familiar. I may have seen a similar name in some work in my previous life. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, Humphrey. I have discovered it a long time ago, and I know her identity a long time ago. Yukai Hamuki. Is this the power of the violent Shinigami? We don't have a clue. Tasakasura, shivering. Sister Miki is attacking Sister Kinu again. Kasumigaoka Shiha, just like I wrote, Miss Shinigami will not fall in love with Yukai slut. These two are basically in love and killing each other. Yukai Hamuki, hey, it's hard to say whether we fall in love, but if I have hypnosis's pupil technique, I will definitely use it violently. Then I will ravage her fiercely. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, HMPH. I am also a time traveler and I am not even afraid of Aizen. How can I be afraid of a little pervert like you? Asts, let's tell you the identity of the newcomer. I really hope it is a beautiful world full of war and ravage. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, hey, I was so disturbed by that pervert Uchiha that I forgot about the business. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, Admiral Roishing, sister, you traveled to the world of pirates and became a celestial dragon, and you are related to him, who is suspected to be the final boss, right? Yukai Hamuki. Ah, when you said that, I also remembered it. Isn't the Nerona family the surname of him, the owner of the Void Throne who has ruled the world for 800 years in One Piece? The saint behind it also proves her status. Huh? Wait. Saint? Shouldn't celestial dragon women be palaces? Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, holy, how is it possible? It's not a palace? Kasumigaoka Shiyu, it's actually a saint. Not a palace? Tasakasura, I don't know what happened, but it's not mere. Shinigami World, Soul Society. The first team's team building, inside the practice field. Yamamoto, who had just finished training and was dripping with sweat, looked back at Roy's personal information in confusion and confirmed again that his name was indeed Sheng, not Gong. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, it seems that our sister group has finally welcomed its first male, Admiral Roishing. Brother, why don't you come out and say something? Is it something like carefully flow online articles a cautious traveler? Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, don't worry about being persecuted. The chat group has relevant regulations in this regard. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, by the way, every new member of this chat group will get a memory copy that only he can see when he joins the group. To put it bluntly, it is the original plot. Well, for us time travelers it's actually of little use. Pirate World, Holy Land. I saw Yamamoto Genryusai whispering at himself, but Roy did not reply immediately, but was carefully checking the chat group. Just like what she said, this chat group currently does not have the many functions found in the online articles he had read in his previous life. You can't travel through time, buy things in the store, sign in, give out red envelopes, or give out memory copies so that each group member can understand the plot of the world where they and others live. But you can chat, send pictures, start live broadcasts, and receive a novice reward exclusive to travelers. As for the memory copies, they are indeed the contents of the original work. For time travelers, it is of little use. But considering that there are many original characters in the chat group, they definitely need this reward very much. Obviously, Tasakasura and others already know the fate of their original world line and have completely stepped out of the shadows. So not only did I time travel and become a celestial dragon, but I was also a time traveler with a chat group type cheat. Originally, Roy didn't think he could defeat the future evolutionary army, protagonist Luffy and others. Now, it is even more powerful. I'm going to hit 10. No, 20 protagonists. With a slight swell in his heart, Roy then checked the identities of the other people in the chat group except himself. Sakura Tasuka, Shiyu Kasumigaoka and Acedes have nothing to say. They are all characters that existed in his previous life. Tasakasura is a popular character in the Moon World, but I don't know when. Kasumigaoka Shiyu is one of the heroines of the Passerby heroine. She seems to live in a comic book world that merges several daily worlds. Acedes is the popular villain, wife of Sister Killer. On the contrary, the other two are really heavyweights. Uchiha Miyuki, it's too obvious. The time-traveling girl of the Uchiha clan in the Hokage world. Her character seems to be a bit like Shirai Kuroko from Super Gun, pervert, Lily, pervert, and slut. Yamamoto Genryusai whispers that he is obviously from the Shinigami world, and is most likely related to Shinigami Captain Yamamoto Genryusai Shichikuni. Her personality seems a bit masculine, and she is a dashing old lady who is full of heroic spirit. There are all girls in the group, and I am the only man. Is this the setting of some harem light novel? Raising his eyebrows and watching the information in the group continue to be refreshed, Roy finally uttered his first sentence in the chat group. I am a pirate and have just traveled through time to become a world noble. Please give me some advice. Chapter 2 The Celestial Dragon in the Perfect Goddess Development System. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, I finally spoke. Mr. Shinto. Uchiha Miyuki, isn't it normal for people to talk when they are alive? Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, yes, just like when a person is killed, he will die. Tasakasura : I don't know why, but I always feel weird when I see this sentence. Uchiha Miyuki, Diavolo. People will die when they are killed? Is there such a good thing? Please give me a dry asts. Boring. I just want to know if the world where the newcomer lives is what I like, but it must not be a boring everyday world like Kasumigaoka Shiyu. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, you have such a vicious tongue, you ice girl. At least I feel that compared to your rotten world, the world I live in is 100 times better. No, 1,000 times. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered : Shut up for now, you guys. Obviously, Yamamoto Genryusai Kinu is still very dignified in this chat group. First he scolded several others for being lax and unreliable, and then addressed Roy in the group. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, Brother Roy, can I call you this? Roy raised his eyebrows and said, okay. If it were in the world of pirates, of course ordinary people wouldn't be able to call themselves that. Even Marine Admiral wouldn't have the qualifications. But he was still willing to give the other person some face as he was a time traveler and could be called a heroine. Especially the top combat power in the Shinigami world can be said to crush the pirate world. The other party is most likely a relative of Captain Shinigami, and his status is no less humble than his own, a celestial dragon. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, so, Brother Roy, have you traveled to the world of pirates? Roy, yes. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, then, Roy, you guessed it right, I did dress up as a celestial dragon. Not bothering to hide his identity, and knowing that a lie requires countless lies to cover up, Roy behaved very calmly. And with his calmness, the chat was silent for a few seconds, and then exploded. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, are they really the celestial dragons from the world of One Piece that the idiots and others mentioned? Tasakasura, the world's nobles, gods, descendants of the creator, enslaved the entire world for 800 years. How terrible. Asts, is this really the chaotic world of pirates? Great. I'm getting excited. When the group time travel function is turned on in the future, I must go and have a good fight. Uchiha Miyuki, damn it. The war madman is gone. Uchiha Miyuki, by the way, the scum are all the celestial dragons in the original work, right? Roy should be our traveler from China. He won't be the same as those guys. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, indeed. You shouldn't look at others with prejudice. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. Besides, even among the celestial dragons who have countless garbage, there are elites like him, the 5 elders and the knights of God, and they also have the hearts of the Holy Mother like Doflamingo's parents. Not all celestial dragons are full of malice! Tasakasura, indeed, I'm sorry. I was biased against you just now. I'm really sorry. Admiral Royce. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, to be honest, it would be a blessing if a good celestial dragon traveled through the world of One Piece. Maybe it would make the bad world better. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, yes, a time traveler's impact on the world is definitely huge. Asts, hey, boring kindness, it is only natural that the weak be dominated and killed by the strong. Uchiha Miyuki, Unami, Sister Robin, Yamato, Momousagi. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. Kasumigaoka Shiyu. Alas, fortunately, it's not you who traveled through the pirate world and became a celestial dragon. Tasakasura : You are truly worthy of being Mukine. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. I can't save you, you idiot. Go to hell. Pirate world. Holy Land. Roy looked at the chat records of this group of people with great interest. He had been in the pirate world for more than a month, and he had not experienced such interesting things for a long time. Naturally, he also saw the discussions and concerns among the people in the group about his identity. The nobles of the world, the celestial dragons. Because One Piece is so well known, even among countless animation works in previous generations, the number of people who hate this group is definitely one of the best. After all, the Tanlong people are indeed too indifferent, and they are different from normal anime villains. Most of the celestial dragons do not have lofty goals, have good-looking faces, and are as stupid as pigs, so naturally they will not be very popular. Of course, it would be unkind to say that Roy was hurt by the poor reputation of the celestial dragons. There is so much gold in the sky that no amount of luxury can be spent. A princess or princess can serve as slaves at will, a life of luxury that no mortal can even imagine. After traveling to the world of pirates for just over a month, he has never rejected these things and enjoyed them all willingly and with great pleasure. This world was conquered by the ancestors of the celestial dragons, and the celestial dragons were born to be superior to mortals. All those who enjoy vested interests and are hostile to their own class are dragon traitors. He's a traitor. As for whether to pretend to be a good person and deceive everyone in the chat group, Roy had already made a decision in a short period of time. Rather than keep lying, sooner or later one day a thunderstorm will happen and he will become a duplicitous villain in the hearts of everyone. He would rather show a calm attitude from the beginning. In the chat group, the girls were still chatting about topics related to the pirate world and the celestial dragons. Although they are all natives of other worlds, they have already heard information about the pirate world from Uchiha Miyuki and Yamato Genryusai. There is nothing wrong with the throne laid down by the ancestors of the celestial dragons, and it is okay for the descendants to dominate and dominate. It is natural for the strong to bully the weak. Of course, if one day the celestial dragons are overthrown by other stronger people, it will only be because they have become weak. Kasumigaoka Shiyu. Although I don't like Ice Girl's contempt for the weak, what she said makes sense. No matter which country in the world, regime change is full of darkness, blood and massacre. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. Actually, if you think about it carefully, just like the capitalists and chaebols in my previous life, they sucked the blood of the people at the bottom and acted arrogantly. They are definitely much kinder than the celestial dragons, but what's the difference in their essence? What's the difference? Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. Not to mention, we Gotai 13 are the ruling class of the Shinigami world. The lives of many souls in Rukongai are not happier than those of the civilians in the pirate world. Naturally, we have no qualifications to point fingers at the celestial dragons. Uchiha Miki : Sure enough, I still just want to fall in love with sweet-smelling ladies. The rest is too complicated. As long as I am happy. Tasakasura. Little Sakura is trembling. I don't understand anything at the age of 6, but my family seems to be noble. Hey. In the end, the group didn't reject the celestial dragons at all. Pirate world, Holy Land. To be honest, Roy was a little surprised by this result, but also somewhat expected. The Imperial Marshal, a brutal general who killed hundreds of thousands of people, is always eager for bloody wars. Tasakasura, the magician family she belongs to, does not regard ordinary humans as human beings at all. Uchiha Miyuki, the Uchiha clan is arrogant for a day or two, and they will still want to rebel in the future. Yamamoto Genryusai Akainu is the second generation of Shinigami's top official in the world. In other words, the only person in the group who can truly be considered an ordinary person is Kasumigaoka. I really didn't expect it. I originally thought I would be severely ostracized. Sighing softly, Roy tried to find a phone bug and posted some photos to the chat group. Roy, pictures. Kasumigaoka. Huh? Mr. World Noble is still here? I thought I had closed the group long ago to enjoy it. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. These photos were all taken by Roy before. Among them are gorgeous palaces that ordinary people can't imagine, delicious food, and countless scenes of rare beauties kneeling on the ground and willingly giving everything to Roy. Roy didn't explain anything. He just posted these photos and showed his attitude to everyone in the chat group. He enjoyed it all willingly. Uchiha Miyuki, this is really enviable. So luxurious. So gorgeous. Please allow me to call you His Highness Roy. Can I share half of your money and beauty? Hi-see, it seems that you, a celestial dragon, should be very suitable to my taste. Tasakasura : It's a bit scary, but Brother Roy's appearance is very handsome, completely different from the ugly Tenryu that Sister Miki said. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, TSK, I have to say, he is truly a dangerous man who faces all his desires calmly. He is worthy of being a noble man in the world. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered. I think I understand your position, Mr. Roy. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, maybe it is not a good thing for people in the pirate world, but as members of the chat group, we are destined to have a closer relationship with you. In the end, unrelated strangers are just strangers. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, so, have you received your cheat? Roy was stunned. My cheat? Isn't it this chat group? Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, haha. Of course not. It's this picture. In the picture, it is exactly what Roy saw just now. Everyone has a one-time reward for new members of the chat group. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, let me tell you secretly. The cheat that Uchiha got in the chat group is their perfect goddess development system. She may be the perfect woman that surpasses all your slave collections. Chapter 3 Everyone's Cheat. Hokage World. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered to you, you damn violent woman. You actually compared me with the slaves of the celestial dragons. Do you want that guy to collect me as a trophy? The white-haired girl with fair skin and beautiful face, exquisite facial features and absolutely perfect proportions to her body, let out a miserable wail in the tent belonging to Konoha. Uchiha Miki was so angry that blood-red threat almost Sharingan appeared in her eyes. Miki, the red-haired beauty sleeping next to her, looked at her best friend with a sleepy look on her face. It's okay Kushina, it was me who had a nightmare. Uchiha Miki smiled awkwardly and put on a cute pose. Oh, Uzumaki Kushina nodded doubtfully, but didn't pay too much attention. After all, the entire top management of Konoha knows that although Uchiha Miki has amazing fighting power, her brain circuit is different from ordinary people, and she is a real idiot beauty. But it's so beautiful. With her eyes closed, Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help but glance at her best friend from the corner of her eye, feeling emotional in her heart. It's no wonder that even the upright Golden Flash couldn't help but confess his love to Miki. Even she, a woman, often feels like she can't control this charm. Kasumigaoka Shiha, Miss Shinigami's suggestion is actually good. Let Mr. World Nobleman bring that idiot into the harem, so that she won't keep staring at other people's wives, daughters, and mothers. Tasakasura, huh? That's not good. Although Mikine is a bit strange, she is generally a good person. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, HMPH. I hope Brother Roy will make that woman suffer a lot, so that she will not even worry about the female captains and vice-captains of Gotai 13. I don't care. Whoever can defeat me can enjoy everything I have. It doesn't matter to me whether it's Uchiha or the Celestial Dragon. Uchiha Miki, you disgusting violent maniac. I will definitely hypnosis you 1,000 times in the future. Roy looked at the chat group with interest and found that Yamamoto Genryu's whispering behavior of betraying his teammates did not seem to arouse everyone's dissatisfaction. On the contrary, others also denounced Uchiha Miki for her idiotic character. So he asked directly, at Yamamoto Genryu's, is it really okay for you to directly tell me such personal and important information as Uchiha Miki cheat? In the online articles he had read in his previous life, people who traveled through time would usually not tell their parents or wives, let alone new friends. This is information related to wealth and life. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, it doesn't matter, we have already made an agreement to inform everyone of the rewards we have received. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, after all, because of the existence of this chat group, we may be friends for 100 years, or even 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Hiding it is not conducive to the harmony within the group. Uchiha Miki, that's right. There is no need to worry, Your Highness Roy. Although the chat group does not prevent conflicts between us, there are also regulations. If a group member kills another group member, he will be expelled from the chat group immediately. This means that he will lose countless worlds and opportunities. Roy, so that's it? I understand. You don't prevent conflicts, but you can't kill other group members. In other words, does that mean slavery is allowed? TSK. I can't even travel through time, so there's no point in talking about it now. After confirming that there was indeed such a rule in the chat group, Roy entered the chat group again. In that case, may I ask what the rewards you have received are? Uchiha Miki, of course, my ability is the same as that Shinigami violent girl said. The perfect goddess development system. Uchiha Miki, strength, appearance, figure, background, etc. are all within the scope of the system. By the way, my appearance should be ranked first in the group. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, hey, it's a pity that you like a girl. Even if she is 100 times more beautiful, it doesn't mean anything, you idiot. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, the ability I gained is, time stop, which can stop the time of the entire world for 5 seconds. Only I can act at will during these 5 seconds, but it is of no use in this daily world. Uchiha Miki, every time I see my senior's abilities, I feel like I'm wasting my resources. It would be great if I could be given this ability. Tasakasura, the reward I received is a power, the ability to give heroic spirits a physical body and unlimited magical power. My reward is the authority of the god of war. Every time I win a battle recognized by the authority, my abilities will be improved in all aspects. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, my reward is simple. Zanpei Kuto has been given the concept of direct death. As long as he is hit by me, no matter who he is, he can only die honestly. Roy, I have to say, it's a bit scary. Pirate World. Roy clicked his tongue and looked at the chat history in front of him. Direct death, Ares authority, and even stopping time. Give him any one of these powerful abilities, and he is sure to penetrate the entire pirate world. It's no wonder these people don't worry about group members killing each other. The rewards for just a newcomer are so strong, how can there be less benefits in the future? If you get kicked out of a chat group, you will really regret it for the rest of your life. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, Brother Roy, have you received your reward? Roy, not yet. I'm about to get it. Thanks to you, I'm looking forward to it now. Uchiha, looking forward to it. I haven't seen newcomers receive rewards for a whole month. Tasakasura, I hope Brother Roy will get a powerful ability. The world of pirates that Sister Miki said is very dangerous. Kasumigaoka Shiha, alas, will the world of pirates be ruled by world nobles? It won't be worse than it is now, right? Acedes didn't speak, but the Ice Queen was also staring at the chat group in her own world, looking forward to the reward Roy would receive. She hoped that it would be someone with a strong enough ability. Acedes, who believed in the philosophy of the weak and the strong, would never be afraid of the strong. She was only afraid that others were not strong enough. Pirate World. Roy muttered silently in his heart. Receive the newcomer reward. Received successfully. Obtain the left hand of God. Hand of Hermes. Chapter 4 God Killer plus Moon-shaped Noble Phantasm. The left hand of God. The hand of Hermes. Feeling that something was indeed integrated into his body, Roy's heart moved, and his left hand suddenly turned into a black and gold color covered with divine patterns. An indescribable aura of terror enveloped his left hand. Even though Roy has never seen a real god in his life, he is very sure that this is undoubtedly the power of the gods. As for its function, Hand of Hermes. Hermes is the god of thieves. On the first day of his birth, he stole the sacred cow of his brother Apollo. The owner of this left hand of God will plunder the deceased's abilities or life legends when killing others, and turn them into fantasy weapons to become his own power. This God Killer plus Xinayu's heroic spirit Noble Phantasm. Looking at the introduction about this hand of God, Roy couldn't help but think of two works from his previous life. God Slayer, kill the disobedient god and seize the power of the god. Moon-shaped Noble Phantasm, an weapon made with human fantasy as its skeleton. The strength and function of the Noble Phantasm are determined based on the life and legend of the servant. And his Hand of Hermes seems to be a perfect combination of the two. Steal the life legends of the dead and use them as bones to transform into your own weapons. It looks pretty good, and it's related to God's authority, but I don't know what the specific effect will be. Roy is quite satisfied with the reward he received. Realizing that everyone in the chat group was still speculating on what kind of abilities he had acquired, he conveniently sent the relevant information. Anyway, he can't kill group members and get kicked out of the chat group. Naturally, he doesn't have to worry about the ability of this god's left hand being known to everyone. Roy, picture. Tasakasura, huh? Brother Roy gave away the reward he received. Acedes, Hand of Hermes, left hand of God. Interesting. This ability seems amazingly powerful. In the world of red eyes, Acedes looked at the pictures and related information sent by Roy with bright eyes, and his body trembled slightly with excitement. Even though she has never seen the so-called gods, even though there are countless worlds apart, Acedes can feel the power covered by this hand of God. This power coming towards her face makes her soul tremble. She even feels that this is likely to be the strongest reward currently appearing in the chat group. Others feel similarly. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, are you kidding? Just looking at the picture, I feel like my brain has been hit by a heavy hammer. Is this some kind of spiritual attack that spans the world? Is this the power of God? Uchiha, I feel the pinch too. Uchiha, hand of God, left hand of God. Wow, I'm so envious. If I had the hand of God, the beautiful sisters in the Hokage world would be so happy. Kasumigaoka Tasakasura : Mikine has started again. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, shut up, you idiot. No matter how serious the topic is, you will ruin it. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, Admiral Roy Saint, it looks like a combination of God Killer plus Shape Moon Noble Phantasm. Brother Roy, your ability seems to be beyond imagination. Acedes, indeed, especially the more amazing the legend of the target being killed, the higher the strength of the weapon obtained. There is no doubt that this is the true hand of God that becomes stronger when it encounters the strong and has no limits. Uchiha, huh? Is it so scary? Kasumigaoka Shiha, of course. This looks like a cheating ability. I'm afraid even Japanese light novels wouldn't dare to give the protagonist such a setting easily. There are basically people in the chat group who have met certain people in the market, and there are two real-time travelers. Naturally, they can all see the power of Roy's hand of God. Unlike ordinary cheat, no matter how powerful it is, it will never exceed the limits of its world. This hand of God has no limit in the true sense. As long as it can kill strong people, it can grow forever. In the chat group, everyone was envious. But the cheat they got was actually not bad, so they quickly recovered from their envy. After recovering emotionally, a new problem arose. Yamato Genryusai whispered, Brother Roy, who are you going to use to test the effect of your hand of God? Miyuki, I'm very curious too. Speaking of which, we don't know when, Roy Highness, you travel to the pirate world. We can give you a reference. Kasumigaoka, expectation +1. Tasakasura, looking forward to +1. Asts, I can't wait. Roy smiled slightly. I traveled to Sea Circle Calendar 1498, and the Pirate King Roger had just surrendered not long ago. Miyuki, One Piece Roger? Oh my god, you are so lucky. Yamato Genryusai whispered : Yes, Brother Roy, you are indeed very lucky. Asts, the Pirate King? The man who conquered the sea. I really look forward to what kind of fantasy weapons you can get from him. Roy's Hand of Hermes obviously determines the strength of the fantasy weapon he finally gets based on the popularity of the life legend of the person he killed. In the world of pirates, the popularity of Roger, the Pirate King, is definitely in the first echelon, and few people can compare with him. And Roger is different from other top experts. He is terminally ill and has surrendered, so the difficulty of killing him is not a little bit easier. There is no doubt that this is a great treasure that belongs exclusively to Roy. Stussy. After exiting the chat group and picking up the phone, Roy's tone was full of no doubt. Inform Marine and ask Vice Admiral Akainu Sakazuki of our headquarters to escort me to the underwater prison Impel Down for sightseeing. I want to watch the whales and miserable end of the pirate scum. Chapter 5 Akainu and the Undersea Prison. Please collect the new book. World Government, 5 Elders Conference Room. Saint Satan, who had white curly hair, sighed. His Royal Highness is going to the Undersea Prison. It doesn't matter. Nasushiro Sage, who was holding the first generation Anitetsu, said nonchalantly. Imsama said before he fell asleep that even if His Highness Roy demolished the underwater prison, it would not matter. Something's wrong. Saint Maz, who had the longest beard, couldn't help but said, where did His Highness Roy appear from more than a month ago? I'm pretty sure that Lord Im has no spouse at all, let alone any descendants. That has nothing to do with you or us. Satan leaned on his crutch and said calmly, Lord Im said that His Highness Roy is her only heir, so there is no doubt about him. Naval Headquarters, a temporary small conference room. Marshal Kong, Admiral Sengoku, Vice Admiral Crane, Garp and the 3 future admirals are all present. Kizaru, who is not that old yet, smiled obscenely. Sakazuki is really unlucky, being taken care of by the Tenryu men. Hokage, who had not yet fallen out with Akainu, looked at Akainu with worry. You have to be careful, no one knows whether those celestial dragons will take action against you. They are not reasonable people. Akainu didn't say anything, but his originally cold face became even more livid. As Marine, the most radical hawk under the world government, he certainly understands what the Dracos are. To put it bluntly, they are a bunch of brainless pigs, trash, and scum. But those pigs still have the world's top power. If he is really targeted by such a guy, will Sakazuki give up everything and become a pirate? At this time, Sengoku, who was still the Admiral Buddha, looked at the Vice Admiral Crane. Do you know the Saint Nairono Roy? Of course. He is also the most active Danlong person this month. Crane Vice Admiral had a strange look on his face and handed everyone present a piece of information. Looking at the description of the information in his hand, Buddha Sengoku's face turned blue and white, and finally he slapped the table with a bang. It's so corrupt. Ridiculous. According to the information, in just over a month, there were thousands of women related to Roy, with an average of about 40 per day. Most of them are princesses and even mothers of kings from various kingdoms. The minimum age involved is 8 years old and the maximum age is 50 years old. It can be said that all ages are included. He is simply the scum of scum. Marine was very surprised to have a completely unified idea. The private lives of the celestial dragons are not something Marine can interfere with, so don't mention it again. After coughing twice in embarrassment, Marshal Kong looked at Akainu, who had a gloomier expression, and comforted him. Don't worry, Sakazuki, Marine will never abandon you. That's right, Buddha Sengoku said coldly. Sakazuki is one of the pillars of Marine's future. I believe that no matter how much the world government coddles the Tenryu people, it will not really let him do anything wrong. I see. Knowing that unless he defected directly, he would not be able to escape the call anyway, Akainu sighed softly in his heart and stood up helplessly. But no one noticed the flash of heat and violence in Akainu's eyes. I just hope that Saint Nairono Roy can be less ridiculous. Anyway, even if he kills the celestial dragon and defects to Marine, he can still carry out his absolute justice in this world as a bounty criminal. Roy didn't know about Marine's gloomy look, nor did he know that Akainu was ready to escape, or at worst, defect. In his opinion, this was just an ordinary escort order. And the reason why he asked Akainu to come instead of other Marines was simply because Akainu's philosophy was in line with his operation. After all, he went to the undersea prison to kill the incompetent pirates. Among the entire naval headquarters senior management, probably only Akainu and other hawkish Marines who hate pirates can accept his behavior. Speaking of which, this is a good opportunity to recruit Akainu as a subordinate. On the luxury ship heading to the underwater prison, Roy considered the feasibility of this matter. As a world noble celestial dragon, of course he needs his own subordinates, and he cannot do everything by himself. Akainu was the first target he targeted. Yearn for absolute justice and hate pirates? It doesn't matter. Even if Akainu kills all the pirates in the world, Roy doesn't care, unless he wants to kill all the celestial dragons as well. Roy Saint, is this intensity okay? A gentle voice came from behind, and a cold hand touched Roy's shoulder and began to massage it skillfully. Astonishingly, she has short blonde hair, wearing a white dress, and her whole body reveals an exquisite beauty. Stussy, I have to say that this woman is really outstanding, and she is worthy of being cultivated by the world government with great efforts. Unfortunately, not loyal enough. Well, feeling the comfort on his shoulders, Roy let out a pleasant hum, and then asked, Stussy, do you know what we are going to do in the underwater prison? This I don't know, and I don't dare to speculate on your noble thoughts, Roy. The pretty face changed, Stussy's straight back slightly bent, making a more respectful gesture, but deep down she was filled with doubts. She has been following Roy for more than a month. From the beginning, she actually realized that this Danlong man did not trust her. But this is the first time that I have asked for my opinion directly like today. If you are an ordinary person, when your boss asks you for your opinion, you will probably feel very happy, thinking that your boss appreciates you, and that your promotion and salary increase are just around the corner. But she is serving the celestial dragons. With the extremely willful characters of this group of world nobles, how could they really ask for the opinion of an inferior person like themselves? HMPH. Don't you dare. With a sneer, Roy turned to look at Stussy. Sit up. Yes. After hesitating for a moment, Stussy slowly sat on Roy's lap. How honored you are, Stussy. Putting his arms around Stussy's small, boneless waist, Roy looked down at her pretty face. This is a gift from God. You have to bear it all. Undersea prison. Impelled down. Akainu and several senior officials of the undersea prison stood on both sides of the gate with solemn expressions. For fear of running into the celestial dragons, they didn't take any marine soldiers with them. At this time, there are still 22 years before the original protagonist Luffy goes to sea, and the future director Magellan is still the deputy director at this time. The current administrator is an old marine vice admiral who has never appeared in the original work, Bone Dragon. If nothing else, the director should have been killed or removed from his post during the Golden Lion jailbreak incident 2 years later, so that Magellan and others could be successfully promoted. It's really strange. I never thought that I could see such a big shot as the Celestial Dragon in the underwater prison. At only 20 years old, Shiyu already looks like he did many years later. He wears the famous thunderstorm sword on his waist, holds a cigar in his mouth, and looks like a delinquent gangster. Next to him, Magellan was holding his cramped stomach, with a look of pain on his face, but he still said seriously, Shiyu, you must not be so careless when you meet the Celestial Dragons. Those big shots want to kill you all based on your mood. Hey, I know, I don't need you to teach me. Although he had a look of disdain on his face, Shiyu put out the cigar in his mouth honestly. It took a lot of effort for him to pass the public examination, and of course he didn't want to lose his job or even his life for no reason. Coming. Akainu looked solemn and raised his hand to straighten his military cap and uniform. Vice Admiral Bone Dragon, who had been silent since just now, also raised his eyelids, revealing his cloudy eyes. Wow! The towering door of justice slowly opened. On the deck, holding the exhausted Stussy in his arms, Roy took a photo with a phone bug and posted it in the group. Roy, I'm in the underwater prison. Guess who the first fantasy weapon I got will come from? Picture. Chapter 6. The gap between Acedes and Admiral. On the photo posted by Roy, the characters are handsome him and beautiful and elegant Stussy. The background is a scene of the towering gate of justice half opened, which is very spectacular. Speaking of which, the bloodline of the Tanlong people is quite strange. There are normal human looks like Doflamingo and 5 elders. There are also a lot of ugly pig-like creatures. Roy felt very lucky. He seems to have inherited the top-notch good looks from him. After all, whether you are strong or not is a temporary matter, but whether you are handsome or not is a lifelong matter. At the same time, in the chat group, Tasakasura, so big, so spectacular. The prison is actually built like a castle. Acedes, this is the underwater prison where countless legendary pirates are imprisoned? Ha! I really want to have a good fight with the prisoners inside. Acedes, Admiral Roishing, can you start a live broadcast soon? I am very curious about the strong men in the pirate world. Roy, okay. He still prefers Acedes. This woman's character, appearance, and abilities are all outstanding. At the same time, Roy didn't forget it either. Acedes was the first person in the group to express recognition of his identity as a Draco. It was hard not to warm to her. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, although I have no interest in killing, I am actually very curious about the prison over there, Mr. World Noble, and it may become one of my future writing materials. Miyuki, have you all gone to see the undersea prison? Didn't you notice the blonde beauty next to his Highness Roy? Kasumigaoka Shiyu, huh? Acedes, What's wrong? She doesn't seem particularly strong. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered : Ignore her. This idiot must be sick again. Uchiha, you are just sick, violent maniac. Uchiha, Stussy. It's Queen of the Pleasure District Stussy. My blonde beauty big sister has actually fallen into your hands. Uchiha, Admiral Roy Saint. Woo. Roy, you must be gentle. A beautiful big sister like Stussy is meant to be loved. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered. Sure enough. Do you really deserve to be called an info? I think the chat group should enable the time travel function as soon as possible, and then you can quickly time travel to the pirate world to help Mr. Roy push his ass. Tasakasura : I can't understand what everyone is saying anymore. Kasumigaoka Shiyu : Tasakasura, kid, please close the group chat. You'll get needle eyes. Roy: good guys, should we say they are truly a group of sisters? These women are no less filthy than myself. Asts: okay, let's put an end to the boring talk about men and women. Asts: Admiral Roysn, I can't wait, please satisfy me as soon as possible. Roy : okay. Feeling that something was wrong with what Asts said, Roy started the live broadcast with a strange expression. Group chat: Nirona Roy Saint has started a live broadcast, please choose whether to watch it. As the prompt sounded, the rest of the group instantly agreed. The next second, Roy and everything around him appeared before everyone's eyes like a movie. Kasumigaoka, it's so spectacular. Everyday world. Kasumigaoka's ruby-like pupils dilated slightly. Even though I have just seen this towering gate of justice from the photo. But after all, the live broadcast is more shocking. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered but didn't think it was anything. One Piece world is inherently less intense than Shinigami. Therefore, she will only find it strange, not shocked. Uchiha eyes were completely attracted by Stussy. Uchiha, Stussy. My Stussy, have you really been taught a hard lesson? Looking at the blonde beauty slumped in Roy's arms as if she had no bones, and the faint feeling of exhaustion on the beauty's pretty face. Everyone knows what kind of fierce battle happened between Roy and Stussy just now. If it were normal times, the group would have already called her a bitch and a pervert. But now, no one cares. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, Akainu, Magellan, Shah of Rain, and the old one should be the last director of the underwater prison who never appeared in the original work. Right? The combined combat power of these people is probably as good as a Marine Admiral. Uchiha, is it that exaggerated? Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, it's almost the same, but it's just an estimate. The actual combat power depends on the specific battle. Asts: I often hear you talk about Marine Admiral. How strong is it? How does it compare to me? Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, let's put it this way, if you were before you obtained the power of the God of War, and you could freeze the time and space of Marine Admiral with Mokubatamo, you would have a chance to escape, otherwise you would be 100% defeated. Asts: The gap is actually so big? Uchiha, it's really big. The average blood bull plus stamina monster per person in the pirate world, and Admiral even has elemental blood bulls. If you don't beat them with combat power or have a way to restrain the elementalization, it's really a scrape. Tasakasura, the newbie is shivering. Kasumigaoka, I got a lot of material again. Otherworld is really interesting. Pirate world. Looking at the discussion in the group about the combat power of One Piece, Roy generally agreed. If there is no way to deal with elementalization, blood cows like Marine Admiral are indeed very difficult to defeat. Asts is a typical example. She is not weak, but if she fights Logia Admiral, she will really be scratching her head. Unfortunately, the pirate world has Haki and Seastone. The world of Shinigami has the more powerful elemental systems Zanpakuto. Kuto. The world of Hokage also has natural energy and the power of 6 paths. Not to mention other worlds with higher levels. It is common to blow up planets with one punch and create worlds with one thought. After all, Admiral can only be considered a strong person in the world of pirates. Boom. The ship docked and the waves rolled. We're in the undersea prison, Roy Street. Stussy lay in Roy's arms, her tone much gentler than before. No wonder who in the previous life said that the passage to a woman's heart is that, it is indeed a little different. Roy responded softly, let go of Stussy and slowly walked off the boat. Stussy swayed slightly. The beauty glanced at Roy's back with resentful eyes, and then quickly followed. Wow. Magellan and Ranger are knelt on one knee, not daring to raise his head and look directly at Roy. Akainu and Bone Dragon are not needed. This is a special treatment given by the world government to Marine's top generals. Roy Saint. Akainu took 2 steps forward, stood in front of Roy, and asked in a deep voice, Marine Vice Admiral Akainu is reporting to you. Please give me instructions. Roy nodded casually, just wait a moment. After saying that, he turned sideways and looked behind him at Vice Admiral, the prison director. A gentle smile appeared on Roy's face. Vice Admiral, Bone Dragon, are you willing to dedicate your life to the world's nobles? Chapter 7 Leviathan, Dragon of Chaos. As Roy finished speaking, the whole world seemed to fall into silence. Akainu and Magellan looked at Roy in confusion. wondering what the Draco meant. Rain looked at Roy with eyes full of yearning. He heard a hint of murderous intent in Roy's tone, and felt that this world's nobility seemed to suit his taste. Stussy was shocked. You must know that the position of Director of Prisons is barely considered a high-level position in the world government. Even the Celestial Dragons are not qualified to decide their life and death at will. She was afraid that Roy would do something irreversible on impulse. On the contrary, Vice Admiral, the director of the Bone Dragon, did not react at all, as quiet as if he had died of old age. In the chat group, things went crazy instantly. Tasakasura, what is Brother Roy going to do? Kasumigaoka, asking someone in person if they want to sacrifice their lives? Isn't this too strange? Uchiha, isn't His Highness Roy's first target the prison director? He has never appeared in the original work. Is there really a legend? Yamato Genryu's whispered, it just didn't appear in the original work. The world of pirates is a real world. Since he is in a high position, he must have his own legendary story. Yamato Genryu's whispered, but, even if you want to kill him, you shouldn't ask him face to face, right? This is too unreasonable. Mr. Roy asks, Humphrey, this man is not an idiot. We just have to wait and see what happens. Pirate World. Ignoring the surprised Akainu and others, Roy stared at Director Bone Dragon and said, I checked your information on the way here. As long as you are willing to die in my hands, your crippled son can directly enter the world government. Civilian and Army Vice Admiral, you don't have to go to the battlefield and you will live a lifetime of prosperity and wealth. Immediately afterwards, Roy looked at the rest of the people present. Magellan, you can be directly promoted to the director of the prison and can currently serve as the vice admiral of the headquarters. Rain can be directly promoted to the deputy director of the prison and can currently serve as the headquarters rear admiral. As for Akainu, after hesitating for a moment, Roy looked directly at this iron-blooded soldier who exuded a hot aura. You can be one step ahead of Kizaru and the others, be promoted to admiral of headquarters, and take charge of Buster Call. After the words fell, Stussy clearly felt that everyone present was breathing quickly, including Vice Admiral, the prison director who Roy wanted to die. Yamato Genryu's whispered, so that's it. Mr. Roy is really good at it. It's simply irresistible. Asts, indeed, I see that all these people are moved. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, TSK. What a terrifying world nobleman. Really, just like Asts said, the conditions given by Roy were not too tempting at all. For Magellan and Rain, all they have to do is keep their mouths shut and save years of hard work. For Akainu, he can save 10 years of hard work, fight against pirates to the maximum extent, and fulfill the absolute justice in his heart. The most important is, Vice Admiral, the director of prisons, apparently did not resist Roy's conditions. He is old and doesn't know how long he can live. The future of his disabled son was something he had always been worried about, and Roy gave him hope. It can be said, as long as the Bone Dragon nods, everyone present will be happy. Akainu and others won't feel too guilty either. I'm willing to die for the nobility of the world. There was no hesitation for too long, no need to question whether Roy would fulfill his promise. Director Bone Dragon knelt on one knee, exposing his unprotected neck in front of Roy. Thank you for your devotion, Bone Dragon Vice Admiral. With a gentle smile, Roy's left hand turned into a black and gold left hand of God. What's this? Looking at Roy's weird left hand, the faces of Akainu and others changed slightly. They seemed to feel the oppression from their souls. Uchiha, it's about to start. It's about to start. Asts, what powerful abilities will you get? I can't wait. Laugh. Under everyone's gaze, Roy turned his left hand into a knife and cut off the Bone Dragon's neck in an instant. The blood surged into the air, and the flying head was caught by Magellan with a sad face. He wanted to yell at Roy for his disregard of human life. This is Bone Dragon Vice Admiral's own choice, and even he himself is the beneficiary. Therefore, I really couldn't speak, so I could only lower my head and remain silent. And Roy didn't know how these people would react. The moment he killed the Vice Admiral Bone Dragon, he clearly felt a strange energy emerge from his body, and finally gathered into his body. No doubt, this energy belongs to the legend of Vice Admiral, the Bone Dragon of the Undersea prison. As for the true form of this energy, come, Leviathan, the Dragon of Chaos. Boom. As Roy read out the true name of the precious phantom, a thunderbolt was heard in the clear sky, and the original day instantly turned into night. It's dark. What kind of ability is this? Everyone in the chat group, Magellan and others looked into the air in surprise, and then their eyes widened at the same time. No. It's not dark. His teeth were trembling and his brain was shaking. Akainu gritted his teeth and stared at the sky, a line of cold sweat dripping from his forehead. It's because the sun is covered. The roar of the dragon sounded from tens of thousands of meters in the air, almost deafening the ears of Akainu and others. The seas covering hundreds of kilometers were set off by huge waves under this terrifying sound wave. People on nearby islands looked into the sky in horror, as if the end was coming. And the true posture of the dragon was revealed to everyone's sight after this earth-shattering roar. It was a black bone dragon. It is unusually large in size, with its wings spread out, It can see as far as the eye can see. A slight tremble can cause a tsunami of staggering scale. The dragon's back can span dozens of islands and completely block the sun's rays in the sky. With a huge dragon claws, Akainu and others have no doubt that they can crush the huge underwater prison into pieces. Impel down this 800-year-old iron wall is as small as a toy in front of this extremely huge bone dragon. Could this be an ancient weapon that only existed in history and legend? And this is the fantasy weapon Roy created by killing Vice Admiral, the prison director's bone dragon, and using his legendary life in the form of Zone, Phantom Beast species, and Bone Dragon as the basis. Its full name, come on, Chaos Dragon Leviathan. There are many legends and records about the monster Leviathan. What Roy got was the Dragon of Chaos from the Old Testament. It is said that because it was the first creature created by God put a lot of effort into it, so it was extremely large. It's a monster that can crush the entire world with just a slight turn. Of course, it is far from that level now, but it is enough to surprise Roy. Looking at the huge bone dragon that covered the sky and the sun, Roy had only one thought in his mind. I'm invincible. Chapter 8 Power brings awe, and strength makes people worship. Advent Leviathan, Dragon of Chaos. Grade 1. Category, Anti-Country Noble Phantasm, Anti-World Noble Phantasm, can grow. It is a fantasy weapon created based on the heroic and legendary deeds of Zone, a fantasy beast species and a person with bone dragon form abilities, and the divine power of the Hand of Hermes. He can summon a bone dragon named Leviathan, the Dragon of Chaos, to destroy a country in an instant. In its heyday, just one turn could crush the entire world. It was undoubtedly the anti-realm noble phantasm. This is the information Roy sent to the chat group about their noble phantasm he just obtained. Looking at this exaggerated introduction, everyone fell silent. A long time. Miyuki, wow, this is too scary. Are we all supporting characters and you are the protagonist? Now it seems that the cheats everyone gets are not of the same level at all. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, although I am not interested in fighting, it is true. Tasakasura, although, the stronger Roy-san is, the better, right? Everyone in the group is the same. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, indeed, the stronger everyone in the group is, the better. After all, we are friendly and helpful companions. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, but your ability is indeed too exaggerated. The Hand of Hermes has raised the ability that was originally only at the Vice Admiral and Admiral levels to surpass the ancient weapon. Miyuki, that's right. I feel like that huge size can even destroy a small continent. This is awesome. It's the perfect war weapon. Admiral Roishing, when I can travel through time in the future, please be sure to use this noble phantasm on me, so that I can feel the amazing power that can crush the continent. Tasakasura, sister. Kasumigaoka Shiyu : he is truly a war madman. Roy : okay. Naturally, everyone in the chat group was full of admiration and envy for Roy's abilities. Was even more excited. She saw Roy's bright future filled with crushing, ravaging and conquering. Roy himself was very satisfied and even had the illusion that he was invincible. But soon, he calmed down. It just destroyed a small continent, and probably couldn't do it with one strike. Although it is powerful, it is just that. Not to mention the Xinyu world where real gods exist. Even in the two worlds of Shinigami and Hokage, the strongest ones are at the planet level. The reason why everyone in the chat group was so surprised was not because he was too powerful, but there are two reasons. 1. The other people in the chat group have only gotten cheat not long ago. The longest period is probably only a year or two. Their own strength and vision have not yet reached the limit of their own world. 2. The upper limit of the pirate world is indeed too low. The most powerful ancient weapon can only destroy an island with one blow. It is precisely because the upper limit of the world is too low that the appearance of this noble phantasm surprised them, because this obviously shouldn't be the intensity that an ability that appears in the world of pirates should have. This also proves that their Hand of Hermes, obtained by Roy, is worthy of its name as the left hand of God. The effect is really unreasonable. Pirate World. Exit the chat group and take back the Chaos Dragon Leviathan entrenched in midair. A feeling of powerlessness came over me. Roy's face changed slightly and he almost lost his balance. Although he had only released this treasure for a very short time, he felt that his physical strength was almost drained. This consumption is too scary. You must know that his highest record is 5 days and 5 nights without sleeping, so his physical strength is definitely not bad. Fortunately, Akainu and others were still in the shock, so they did not notice Roy's abnormality. Thanks to the powerful physical talents of humans in the pirate world. After stopping the liberation of Chaos Dragon Leviathan, his physical strength also began to recover quickly. At the same time, with the disappearance of Leviathan, the apocalyptic and terrifying world finally returned to normal, and everyone in the nearby sea seemed to have had a nightmare. But Akainu and others knew that it was definitely not an illusion, but a real ability. To be more precise, it was the ability of the Tanlong man beside them. Then what is that? The legendary ancient weapon? Akainu felt a little dry, and even felt a sense of tension in his heart that had not appeared in many years. Magellan and Ranger are not as bold as Akainu, They were afraid to speak and knelt on the ground, fearing that they would be silenced because they knew Roy's secret. Even Stussy, who had been in close contact with Roy, didn't even dare to take a breath at this time. They also believe that the sky-covering bone dragon is the legendary ancient weapon, and is most likely the legendary Uranus. I didn't expect that the legendary ancient weapon Uranus was actually in the hands of the celestial dragons. No. Maybe it is because the celestial dragons control the ancient weapon Uranus that they were able to create the world government and become the creator? Stussy sighed in her heart, never expecting that one day she would be able to see such an amazing secret. You guess? Regarding Akainu's question, Roy did not answer directly, but just smiled mysteriously. Phew, I understand. Akainu took a long breath and raised his hand to lower the brim of his hat. The Magma Vice Admiral was not angry at Roy's concealment, nor did he continue to ask questions. He is not an idiot. Of course he knows that such important secrets cannot be easily told to others. As for why Roy wanted to show this power in front of them, Akainu also had speculation in his mind. In his opinion, Roy should have taken a fancy to a few of them and wanted to take them as his own. Just like that Stussy. To be honest, Akainu was really not ready to be loyal to a celestial dragon. Even though this celestial dragon looks so different, he still controls the amazing power of what is suspected to be an ancient weapon. Let's go. Roy's voice woke Akainu from his reverie. Roy Saint, please give me instructions. Magellan knelt respectfully in front of Roy, not daring to show any disrespect. Power is awe-inspiring. Power plus strength makes people fear and worship. I want to visit the underwater prison and kill more pirates to practice my skills. Telling the purpose of his trip half-truthfully, Roy walked towards the door of the underwater prison. Behind him, Stussy, Akainu and Shiyu of the Rain followed without hesitation. Only Magellan hesitated. Killing imprisoned pirate prisoners is not his justice. If anyone else wanted to do this, even if it was other Danlong people, he would risk his life to stop it. But if it is this Roy Saint, the Doomsday Bone Dragon that had just covered the sky appeared in his mind, and Magellan's huge body shuddered suddenly, and he woke up instantly. This is not a fear of death, but a fear of gods. I understand, Roy Saint. Without immediately reporting what happened here to the world government and 5 elders, Magellan quickly followed Roy's footsteps. Let my new director of the Undersea prison, Magellan, lead the way for you. Chapter 9 Hunting in the Undersea Prison. Please collect blood and comment votes. Thank you. Kasumigaoka. Has Mr. World Noble successfully conquered these people? Yamato Genryu's whispered. Not yet. Shiyu and Stussy of Rain seem to have returned home a little bit, but Akainu and Magellan are still hesitant. Uchiha. Boring. With the power of the Chaos Dragon Leviathan, even if His Highness Roy can't conquer the entire pirate world, it's about the same, right? It's better to defeat the entire world alone. There is no need at all a subordinate. Yamato Genryu's whispered. It is indeed the idea of a fool, just like an idiot. Yamato Genryu's whispered. Do you understand what you are trying to do? The pirate world is most likely Mr. Roy's main world. If he really messes up the world and causes no new legends and heroes to appear in this world, then what will his abilities be like? Hasn't it become a dragon-slaying technique, no longer useful? Kino is right, but this is based on the premise that it is impossible to travel through the world, and there is a high probability that it will not happen. To be honest, Roy sneered at the words of Uchiha, a time travel slut. He is not a war maniac, nor is he a serial killer. Why would he want to penetrate the pirate world when he has nothing to do? Are the girls in the pirate world not beautiful and cute, or are the princesses not as gentle as water? Isn't the purpose of becoming stronger to enjoy life? Besides, it's just like Yamato Genryu's said softly. His cheat is destined to kill strong men when they reach the peak of their lives in order to achieve the best results. The pirate world is his fishing ground, and he is a fish farmer. It is not a wise move to catch all the fish before you can go to other worlds stably. Under the leadership of Magellan, the new director of the underwater prison, Roy and his group have arrived at the door of the 6th floor of the underwater prison. In just a few hours, Roy, who had quickly recovered his physical strength, had killed more than 1,000 prisoners. Among them, more than 900 people from the 1st to 4th floors of the underwater prison failed to bring Roy even a single treasure. Obviously, their life experiences and legends are simply not qualified. As for the remaining dozens, they are prisoners from the 5th floor of the underwater prison. Being more powerful, they successfully triggered the hand of Hermes and provided Roy with dozens of noble phantasms. However, the quality of these noble phantasms is worrying. It's simply not as good as the miscellaneous fish noble phantasm shot out of the king's treasure of the hero King Gilgamesh in the moon-shaped world. Its strength and destructive power cannot even be compared to the good swords native to the pirate world. A bunch of junk was pulled out. In front of the gate of the 6th floor of the underwater prison, Roy was lost in thought. What went wrong? Are these people too weak, or are their reputations too low? But these people are not weak either. If he can be imprisoned on the 5th floor of the underwater prison, if he is released, he will at least be an overlord who can dominate the world. Or maybe the strength of obtaining a noble phantasm is not fixed, but there is a certain element of luck. For example, The Chaos Dragon Leviathan he just obtained was because of his incredible luck? Roy simply posted this question to the group. It makes sense for the three cobblers to be like Yang and brainstorm ideas. Miyuki, I don't know, Your Highness Roy, all I can think about is my beautiful sister, who is a loser in the system. It's really not suitable for such a brain-intensive topic. Tasakasura, sorry, Brother Roy, little Sira doesn't understand either. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, I'm sorry. My stomach doesn't feel right. It's the first time in my life that I've seen so many people die. Asts, I think it should all be related. The strength and popularity of the person killed determine the lower limit, and your luck determines the upper limit. Yamato Genryu's whispered, Asts and I have similar ideas, but more experiments are needed. Roy, I understand, let's continue. Exit the chat group. Roy gestured to Magellan to open the door. Please be merciful, Saint Roy. He clutched his stomach that was cramping due to the poisonous fruit, with a grimace on his face. Magellan opened the door to the 6th floor of the underwater prison. He felt that he was really crazy. If the 5 elders knew that he allowed Saint Roy to massacre in the undersea prison, nothing would happen to Saint Roy. But he will definitely be skinned and cramped, right? Buzz. The moment the door opens, Roy then noticed that at least 10 people's observation haki swept across his body. What the hell? Didn't we just deliver meals last month? Is it an extra meal? I know that kid. Akainu Seikeizuki. He is the leader among the younger generation of Marine, a user with Logia lava fruit ability. Magellan, of Rain. What are you doing here? Are you singing for the elders? Ha 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 ha. Let the old immortal bone dragon do it. The prisoners screamed and no one paid any attention to Roy. After all, he doesn't wear that ugly uniform like other celestial dragons. He looks like a noble man with tender skin and tender flesh who has some strength. The biggest feature is that he is very handsome and is a standard pretty boy. But Roy still found them noisy and annoying. Shut them up, Magellan. Roy's tone was very calm. Yes, Roy Saint. It wasn't until the prisoners in the underwater prison realized Roy's identity as a Draco. A pungent-smelling venom is spewed out of Magellan's body. Ah, damn. It's the venom from that guy Magellan. It hurts. The screams were endless. Soon the entire 6th floor of the underwater prison fell silent, with only the faint gasps proving that these people were not dead. Hungry, sleepy, and poisoned, they no longer had the energy to scream. How many people are being held here? Roy asked casually. 47 people in total. Magellan was well aware of this information and immediately reported, most of them are pirates with bounties ranging from 1 to 500 million billion. There are only a few with more than 1 billion, and only 2 with more than 3 billion. Obviously, the only one with a bounty of more than 3 billion is Roger, the pirate king who surrendered not long ago, and the lonely Red Redfield who defeated Marine Marshal Kong many years ago. Although it may seem like a small number, in fact this is normal. In the original One Piece, Blackbeard made the pirates imprisoned in the 6th floor of the underwater prison kill each other, and he took away the strong ones who survived. As a result, only 4 or 5 survived. These 4 or 5 people are the future leaders of the Blackbeard 4 Emperors group, including of Rain, and their true strength is at most the elite Marine Vice Admiral level. It is conceivable that no more than 26th level pirates died under their hands. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to win. You guys go out and wait. Taking out a piece of junk sword treasure he had just obtained, Roy slowly walked towards the pirates who were unable to resist. It's hunting time, scumbags. Chapter 10 World Destroyer. Die. That Roy Saint is interesting. Returning to the door of the 6th floor of the underwater prison, Akainu suddenly spoke as if talking to himself. Stussy was stunned. Then as if he remembered something, his pretty face flushed slightly and he nodded. Indeed. He is completely different from ordinary Danlong people. This is what I imagine the celestial dragons should be like. Powerful, noble, cruel, no mercy. of Rain stared at the door with feverish eyes, as if he could see the exciting scene of Roy killing pirates through the door. If the power of Chaos Dragon Leviathan frightened of the Rain, what Roy did in the underwater prison only made him feel admired. This act of unbridled massacre of others was exactly what he longed for and was willing to sacrifice his life to pursue. Really? Akainu nodded aside, a smile appearing on his serious face. It's just that maybe because he doesn't smile often, he looks a little stiff. In his opinion, Saint Roy hates pirates. It seems that he does not reject his absolute justice and has expressed his optimism for himself many times along the way. Has my spring finally arrived? Because he treated pirates too cruelly, he did not hesitate to sacrifice civilians and subordinates. Akainu, who had always been vaguely rejected by most of Marine's top brass, rarely felt the joy of being understood. The smiles of these two guys are so disgusting. Really unable to accept the looks of Akainu and Stussy calmly distanced herself from them. Sure enough, a handsome man like Roy is more likable. Huh? Stussy was suddenly startled and said subconsciously, One Piece Roger is also imprisoned on the 6th floor of the underwater prison, right? Why didn't I see him just now? He's on the inside. Magellan immediately Kaido, and then froze on the spot, with cold sweat pouring from his forehead. One Piece. The world government wants to publicly execute the Pirate King in front of the entire world. That celestial dragon Sama wouldn't kill the Pirate King too? No, I have to stop him. Zheng. Magellan didn't expect that as soon as he took a step, a sharp famous knife was already placed on his neck. Famous sword thunderstorm. Rain no Shuru. Magellan gritted his teeth and stared at the deputy director who had just been promoted with him. Do you know what you are doing? Of course I know. After smoking his cigar again, Shuru of the Rain said with a contented face, don't move, Magellan. I will offer my allegiance to Saint Roy. The 6th floor of the underwater prison. Thanks to Seastone and Magellan's venom. Even if most of the prisoners here are not weak, they have no power to resist at this time. Roy only needed one sword after another to easily take away the lives of these strong men crossing the sea. Kill Paramecia, the bomb fruit user with a bounty of 200 million bli. Based on his legendary deeds as Bomberman, he obtained a noble phantasm called Explosion, which can turn other noble phantasms into powerful bombs and throw them. A swordsman with a bounty of 200 million baileys for his murder, who once destroyed a kingdom. Based on the legendary deeds of his blood sword, he obtained a precious weapon that can drink blood to increase the strength level. The blood-drinking sword. Kill the Paramecia dice fruit user with a bounty of 150 million baileys. Based on his legendary deeds of cutting steel, he obtained a sharp treasure that can easily cut through the 21 skills of a large sword, the steel cutting knife. None of the cadres of the Blackbeard pirates in the original work seem to be imprisoned here. Roy also had bad luck. After killing dozens of people in a row, the reward ranged from 70 million baileys to hundreds of millions of baileys. As a result, most of what I got were weapon-type treasures. Unlike the light cannons in the Xinyu world, they didn't even have any special effects. The only one that is somewhat useful is the noble phantasm called Strengthening Necklace that was revealed after killing a Paramecia strengthening fruit ability user. This thing can double the user's various qualities. What kind of nonsense is this? Do you want me to collect hundreds of thousands of weapons and treasures and become the shining star of the pirate world? With a black look on his face, Roy posted these treasure phantoms, which could not be said to be completely useless, but were indeed of little use, to the chat group, and his mentality exploded. Uchiha. It seems that the final quality of the noble phantasm is really related to luck. Yamato Genryu's whispered, indeed, even if the strength of those people you killed just now is not as strong as that of the Bone Dragon Vice Admiral, it is not far behind. However, the rewards they received are completely different. Tasakasura, it's okay, Brother Roy, the Chaos Dragon Leviathan you got before is already very strong, don't be too sad. Asts, indeed, but I think there are still a few people alive on the 6th floor of this underwater prison. Roy, why don't you continue? Uchiha, looking at the live broadcast footage, there should be 3 people alive. They are all acquaintances. Yamato Genryu's whispered, that's right. The Frozen World Destroyer Bindy Wald, the lonely Red Balarac Redfield who defeated Marine Marshal Kong, and the Pirate King Goldie Roger. Yamato Genryu's whispered, these 3 people all have extremely high reputations and legendary lives in the pirate world. If there is anyone in the Undersea prison during this period who can let you obtain powerful treasures, they are the 3 of them. Most likely. Roy, indeed. Uchiha, wait a minute. Where is the Golden Lion? Shouldn't he be there too? Roy, Roger's execution hasn't been announced yet, and Golden Lion hasn't made a big fuss in naval headquarters yet. Uchiha, oh, that's it. Uchiha, Admiral Troisn, then remember to broadcast live to us. Anyway, you will definitely not let Golden Lion go, right? Roy, well, don't worry, I won't forget it. Asts, Golden Lion, another legendary pirate. I really look forward to what abilities he has. Asts, but now I'm looking forward to Roy if you can get other powerful noble phantasms. I saw it just now, after liberating the Chaos Dragon Leviathan, your physical strength seems to be a little unsustainable. It doesn't satisfy me. Roy, this. Roy blushed for a rare moment. Men are most afraid of women saying that he is exhausted. It is simply the ultimate insult. On the contrary, the other women in the group didn't think there was anything embarrassing about it. It would be better to say that Roy's physical strength is actually outstanding enough to unleash such terrifying monsters in the pirate world. Undersea prison. Roy looked at his only 3 remaining targets. The World Destroyer, Bindy Wald, who has been frozen since being captured, is a user with a Momo fruit ability. He developed this fruit well. It can amplify the power, speed, size and weight of itself or the objects it comes into contact with 100 times. This can be regarded as a god-level fruit, but it's a pity that the owner of the fruit is still a waste after all. And he is also the best to kill among the 3. He didn't even have consciousness, and he had no power to fight back. The second, Solitary Redfield. Marine Marshal Buddha Sengoku considers him to be a powerful being who can stand on equal footing with Roger and Whitebeard alone. But he himself thinks that he is inferior to these 2 people. All in all, he is a powerful royal player. Even if it is in a poor state due to aging, it should not be weaker than Marine Admiral. The most important thing is that he is not an ability user, so even if he is in a weak stage at this time, he is not easy to kill. Unless Roy directly liberates the Chaos Dragon Leviathan and destroys the entire underwater prison. At this time, Redfield was lying in his prison cell with his eyes closed, seemingly completely oblivious to the bloody massacre happening in the outside world. The last one. One Piece, goal D Roger. The top level of strength in the pirate world plus top level of popularity are the main goals of Roy's trip. At this time, the Pirate King was staring at Roy curiously, not knowing what he was thinking. Roy ignored Roger. He wanted to kill the one who was easiest to kill first. Whoosh! Just like the shining golden treasure of the king, the newly obtained noble Phantasm blood-drinking sword shot out from Roy's back and pierced Bindy Ward's heart in the ice. World Destroyer, Die. Chapter 11 Hercules Belt and New Members. With the death of Bindy Ward, a powerful energy poured into Roy's body guided by the hand of Hermes. It feels completely different from before. Is it really related to luck? Feeling the surging energy condensing in his body, Roy realized that the precious phantom he would get was definitely not weak. At least it must be much stronger than those noble phantasms with no special effects just now. Soon, the energy riot subsided. In order to prevent himself from depleting all his physical strength like before, Roy did not directly release the noble phantasm he had just obtained this time, but checked its specific information in his mind. The Belt of Hercules. Level, None. Type, Noble Phantasm against oneself. World Destroyer. Bindy Ward once used the Paramecia Momo fruit to enhance her strength and speed, and won the victory in wrestling and racing against the Giant Kingdom. Based on this deed and legend, and with the power of the hand of Hermes, a fantasy weapon that should only exist in myth was created. When liberating this noble phantasm, you will always be stronger and faster than the enemy you are facing. A rule-based treasure that strengthens oneself. It was the first time he had obtained a similar noble phantasm, and Roy was very satisfied with the overwhelming feeling of power. As long as the noble phantasm is released, the power and speed will always be stronger than the enemy. This is undoubtedly a rule-level bug ability. It is too strong and ridiculously strong. It is not a little bit stronger than the previous enhancement necklace that can only strengthen itself by 1 times. Killing a small character like World Destroyer to get such a rule-level noble phantasm is definitely a huge explosion of character. Uchiha, what a guy. The king's treasure of the pirate world. Shining gold. Yamato Genryu's whispered. Yes, they are indeed very similar. Yamato Genryu's whispered. If you think about it carefully, Mr. Roy is destined to obtain countless noble phantasms of insufficient quality in the future, and their number may one day even exceed that of Jin Shining. It can be said to be the treasure of God. Kasumigaoka Shiyu. I don't know how serious it is, but it sounds very powerful. Should I say that I am truly worthy of being a world noble? Asks. It's indeed an interesting move. It's very suitable for large-scale combat. I can also use ice to create a similar effect. Asks. Off topic again. Roy in the live broadcast hasn't moved for a long time. Is he feeling his new ability? Why isn't he liberated directly like the previous Chaos Dragon Leviathan? Kasumigaoka Shiha. Is it because Mr. World Nobleman is worried about losing his strength in an instant like just now? Uchiha, BFFT, you're not even middle-aged yet. Are you already beyond your capabilities? Roy, at Uchiha, you idiot. You better pray that the chat group will never start world travel, otherwise you will die. Uchiha No. Your Highness Roy. I was just joking. In the world of Hokage, a beautiful girl with white hair and red eyes let out a shrill wail, waking up Uzumaki Kushina who had just fallen asleep. While comforting her best friend, Uchiha shed tears in her heart and wanted to slap herself hard. Why is she so mean-mouthed? She couldn't help but shudder as she imagined the terrifying size of the Leviathan, the Dragon of Chaos, crushing her hard. You will definitely be blown away. After joking about Uchiha, a slut, Roy was in a very happy mood and directly posted the relevant information about the Hercules belt to the group chat. Yamato Genryu's whispered, this is really an amazing fantasy noble phantasm. Kasumigaoka Shiyu. Hey, Mr. World Noble, are you too outrageous? Can such an ability be obtained easily? Asks. Indeed, although it can only affect one person at the same time, the power and speed will definitely be greater than the enemy. This is no longer simply powerful, but a rule. It's really scary. Uchiha, as expected, Your Highness Roy, you are the protagonist, right? In comparison, my broken system is just a cheat. Tasakasura, congratulations to Brother Roy for getting another powerful noble phantasm. Once again, I was shocked by the powerful effect of Hercules' belt, and there was another discussion in the chat group. It's not that they have little experience, but Roy is really a little too much. Again, this ability should not be an ability that appears in the world of pirates at all. Although the pirate world itself has many strange abilities, such as various weird time and space abilities, and even the ability to turn people into dolls and make the entire world lose their memory. But although these abilities are powerful, as long as armament haki is strong enough, they can be easily immune. As for Roy's noble phantasm, it seems that it currently does not have any weaknesses like armament haki. This is the most buggy part. It seems that I am lucky now, and my next goal is. Turning his gaze to the lonely Redfield, Roy licked the corners of his mouth, and a gorgeous golden belt slowly appeared around his waist. Suddenly, a prompt sounded in his ear. New members join the chat group. New function of chat group, red envelope system, activated. Task system starts. His movements stagnated, and Roy subconsciously re-entered the chat group. Sure enough, the chat group was also in a state of panic. Everyone who was originally discussing Roy's two powerful noble phantasms was now discussing new topics. Miyuki, I can finally give out red envelopes. There is also a mission system that spans the world, and there are new group members so soon. Are they time travelers or indigenous people? Tasakasura, looks like the name is Liu-Oh-Hao. It sounds like the name of an older sister. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, Liu-Oh-Hao, TSK. I didn't expect it to be this person. The chat group is getting more and more interesting. Miyuki, Master Liu-Oh-Hao. What a beautiful big sister in Hanfu. I like it. Asts, it seems like he is an original character, and he is quite well known. Roy, it is indeed not low. After all, it is a relatively well-known work and female character in the ACG circle. Roy, aren't you going to say something? I remember that the martial arts king is not a woman with a gloomy personality, right? Chapter 12 The God Slayer Liu-Oh-Hao and the Strengthening Furnace. Please collect flowers and review votes. Thank you. The World of God Killers. Lashan, wearing a white hanfu, the peerless beauty with black hair as smooth as silk sat on her knees, her usually calm face flashing with surprise. Chat group, all worlds. Do these people know me? World Noble, Ice Queen, Ninja, Shinigami, Magician. There is also a memory copy named Godkiller. I'm actually just a popular supporting character in an ordinary work. Not even Lord Kakasu. Interesting. It's so much fun. After I entered the chat group, Yamamoto Genryu's icon published some basic information about the chat group in the group announcement so that future newcomers can learn about the chat group as soon as possible. Liu-Oh-Hao was the first beneficiary. Coupled with the excitement of the original plot of Godkiller, ecstasy and excitement flashed across his beautiful face, and the spell power in his body surged. As a person who has existed for more than 200 years and is most likely the most powerful Godkiller, she has already reached her limit and has been unable to enter a new realm. If nothing else, now is the end of her life. You can see all the way to the end at a glance. Liu-Oh-Hao never thought that he would encounter such an opportunity. Well, but this is normal. After all, the God Slayer is the king, and the king should enjoy all the beauty in the world. Liu-Oh-Hao quickly accepted the existence of this chat group and also noticed that Roy was at him in the group. Nirona Roy Saint. The announcement said he is the world noble of the pirate world. A strange name. Remembering Roy's name in his heart, Liu-Oh-Hao spoke in the group. Yes, I am the God Slayer Liu-Oh-Hao. I am the strongest demon king in the world. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, demon king? Surprisingly, he's a bit of a middle-class guy. Miyuki, it's normal. Most of the works in my childhood are a little bit chubby, but this sister Liu-Oh-Hao is indeed a God Slayer who has killed gods. God Slayers also have demon kings in her world. Title: Miyuki. His personality is arrogant and cruel, and he is an unquestionable tyrant. Tasakasura, tyrant. Tyrant. Terrible. Little Sura is trembling. Asts, God Killer? So that's it. It's the world you talked about when Roy got the hand of Hermes before. It doesn't sound weak. Asts, very good. It's decided. I will also kill a god in the future. I think the process will definitely satisfy me and make me happy, right? Liu-Oh-Hao, Queen of Ice. I welcome you, but if you die in this world, I will not save you or avenge you. Acedes, HMPH. If I die in the battle, it means that I am nothing more than that, and I deserve to die. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, very good. Now we all know each other, and we will all be friends in the same chat group from now on. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, next, let's take a look at the new features in the chat group. It should be quite important to us. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, by the way, Liu-Oh-Hao leader, don't forget to receive the new member reward of the chat group. Everyone has it. Liu-Oh-Hao, are there any rewards for newcomers? I understand. Glancing at the chat group announcement, Liu-Oh-Hao found that he did have a newcomer reward to receive. At the same time, she also saw the rewards received by others in the announcement, and immediately understood that this was a hidden rule between group members not to hide from each other. The authority of the God of War. The system in the Chinese online novel, where heroic spirits give flesh, and time stops. TSK. It's really quite strange. Looking at these powerful abilities, Liu-Oh-Hao only felt interesting, but not very surprised. After all, she is the God Slayer. Even if the God of Disobedience is not a god in the true sense, the power she has captured is definitely powerful, so there is no need to envy others. But when she was so calm and confident, when she saw the hand of Hermes obtained by Roy and the two noble phantasms with astonishing effects, Liu-Oh-Hao finally opened her beautiful eyes wide. An enhanced version of God Killer? And there is no need to kill the God of Disobedience. Although she had just joined the chat group, she already had some information about the world where several group members lived. There is no doubt that the strength of the world of pirates is far inferior to that of the world of God Slayers where she lives. But Roy still relied on the hand of Hermes to create a noble phantasm that was not weaker than the God Slayer's authority, and even had a higher potential. What a powerful ability. This chat group is really extraordinary. Completely recognizing the power of the chat group, Liu Hao said silently in his heart, receive the reward. Received successfully. Get a strengthened furnace. Liu Hao was stunned at first, but after seeing the introduction of this thing clearly, his pretty face suddenly darkened. At this time, in the chat group, Roy and others have looked at two new features that have just emerged in chat groups. 1. Red envelope system. Just like the WeChat red envelopes in his previous life, any object except living objects can be sent to other group members in the form of red envelopes. 2. Mission system. The chat group will publish tasks related to the world where each group member lives, but the task trigger conditions and other tasks are not known, and the task rewards are not known at all. Yamato Genryusai whispered, it seems that this mission system is very likely to be the key to our ability to travel to other worlds. It's just that we have to wait until the first mission appears to understand the specific situation. Uchiha Miyuki, long live. Long live. I finally have the opportunity to travel to other worlds. Girls and sisters from Otherworld, I, Uchiha Miyuki, am here. Tasakasura, Miki-san's speech. I always feel that my sister and mother are in danger. Asts, my blood is boiling too. After being strengthened several times by the authority of the god of war, I am already invincible in the world of Crimson Eyes. I need a stronger opponent. Kasumigaoka. Well, it probably has nothing to do with me. After all, I'm not interested in fighting. Kasumigaoka, but don't forget to start a live broadcast when you travel across the world. These are good writing materials. Uchiha Miyuki, don't worry. Senior Uchiha Miyuki, what about Sister Liu Hao? She should have received the newcomer reward. Liu Hao, pictures. Talking about Cao Cao, when Cao Cao arrived, Liu Hao directly sent a picture, which was the newcomer reward she received. Strengthened furnace. You can enhance abilities, bloodlines, props, equipment and other things in the world for yourself or others. If the strengthening is successful, the level will be increased by 1 level, the effect will be enhanced, and it can be strengthened infinitely. If the enhancement fails, the item is permanently damaged and cannot be retrieved. Uchiha Miyuki, this Tasakasura, it seems a little bit wrong. Asts, strengthening all things and being able to continuously become stronger, it seems quite powerful. Kasumigaoka, PFFT, isn't this the strengthening system in online games? Yamato Genryusai whispered, yes, although the name has been changed, this is undoubtedly the enhancement system in the Krypton Gold online game. Even the permanent damage to items that fail to be enhanced is retained. It's really, it's so deceiving. Uchiha Miyuki, pat Sister Liu Hao on the head to comfort her. Don't be too sad, maybe your luck will be heaven-defying and you can continue to strengthen your success. Chapter 13 Strengthening with extremely high failure rate. Please collect and send flowers. The world of Godslayer. After being comforted by Uchiha Miyuki, Liu Hao's face turned darker. But she is a proud Godslayer after all. If the reward you draw is not what you want, it is purely a matter of luck, and you have no intention of angering others because of it. No. Her luck can't be bad. She is the God Killer and the Demon King. Maybe it was because of her good luck that she was able to pull out this kind of item. Try strengthening it. After recalling the abilities and powers he possessed, Liu Hao quickly selected 3 that he didn't like or didn't use frequently. 2 of them are her own abilities, namely the star-absorbing soul-seizing palm and the shadowless technique. The other is the power Heaven is Dead. This is the power she gained by killing the dragon in Persian mythology, and it is a terrifying power that can cause solar and lunar eclipses. It stands to reason that if ordinary people gain the ability to have no regrets after failure, they should first try a few more times with low-value things. But that's what normal people think, not Liu Hao's. As a proud Godslayer, Liu Hao firmly believes in everything he has, whether it's strength, beautiful appearance, or illusory luck. I can't fail. Start strengthening. Without hesitation, Liu Hao threw the 3 powers and abilities he selected into the strengthening furnace. Ding. Strengthening failed. The star-absorbing soul-stealing palm is broken. Ding. Strengthening failed. Shadowless skill was broken. Ding. Strengthening failed, and the power Heaven is Dead was broken. As the continuous prompt sounded, a feeling of exhaustion emerged from Liu Hao's body. She was surprised to find that she had completely forgotten how to use the star-absorbing soul-seizing palm and the shadowless technique, and the power of the sky is dead had completely disappeared. I can learn martial arts again, but my power is really gone. With a wry smile, Liu Hao's face quickly returned to its calm look. Although one power is lost, it's not a big deal. It's just power. If you want, just kill a disobedient god. Killing gods, which is extremely dangerous to others, is not worth making a fuss about for Liu Hao. But maybe it's because of the god killer's face. Perhaps because he was unwilling to admit that his luck was really bad, Liu Hao did not post the result to the chat group. Instead, he spoke in the group. Does any of you want to try the effect of this strengthened furnace? Tasakasura: I don't have anything to strengthen at hand. Sister Liu Hao. Uchiha Miyuki, red envelope. This kunai is a mass product and not valuable. You can try strengthening it. Kasumigaoka: I am in an everyday world, and there is nothing to strengthen. Asts, red envelope. Tegu's all changing. was snatched from a nitrate member named Bbook. It's of no use if I keep it. You can strengthen it and give it a try. Uchiha Bbook. The guy who liked Neji Ixuten, the leader of the nitrate in the original novel, is he dead? Asks, dead and frozen into a nice sculpture by me. It also provides an opportunity for my god of war authority to increase. Uchiha TSK. It's really sad to see a familiar character die. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, it's normal. Because of our existence, there will definitely be many changes in the world. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, red envelope, this is the unformed Sanpei sealed state, try strengthening it. Roy. In that case, I'll join in the fun. Roy, red envelope, this thing is called the blood-drinking sword. I just got this precious weapon not long ago. I won't feel bad if it breaks. If it doesn't break, I will give it to you, Master Liuohao. In the world of god killers, he didn't expect his friends to trust him so much. Liuohao couldn't help but feel a little bit of pressure and sense of responsibility. Success must be strengthened, and the king should not be ashamed of the expectations of others. However, the opposite happened. Ding. Reinforcement failed. Tegu changes was broken. Ding. Strengthening failed. Kunai. Ding. Strengthening failed. Sealed state. Liuohao. Even though the group of friends were willing to give these things to her for strengthening, the god-killer leader Liuohao still felt a little embarrassed. The last one. Turning his attention to the treasure phantom blood-drinking sword sent by Roy, Liuohao strengthened it again. Ding. Strengthened success. The level of blood-drinking sword has been increased by 1 level. Liuohao's beautiful eyes widened, and she suddenly felt a sense of surprise and pleasure that she had not experienced for many years. The strengthening was actually successful. Blood-drinking sword +1. Level 2. Type, anti-personnel noble phantasm. Attack range, 2 meters. Based on the legendary deeds of the famous swordsman Bloodsword in the pirate world who slaughtered an entire kingdom, and with the divine power of the hand of Hermes, it was created as a fantasy weapon. After it was formed, it was passed by the god-killer Liuohao. Strengthen it. In the battle with the enemy, even if you don't use this noble phantasm to hit the enemy, you can continue to draw the enemy's blood, weakening the enemy and strengthening yourself at the same time. TSK. It's a pretty good sword, but it's not very useful. But as proof of my first successful enhancement, it's precious enough. Looking at the blood-red sword in his hand, Liuohao also sent the results of his enhancements to the chat group. Liuohao, sorry, everyone, almost all the enhanced items are broken. Kasumigaoka. This. It was strengthened 7 times and broken 6 times. This probability. Uchiha. It's very true. This is strengthening. This thing was also a terrifying thing in the online game circle in my previous life. Yamamoto Genryu's whispered, I sympathize with you, but at least I succeeded in strengthening it once. Brother Roy's luck seems to be good. Asks, it doesn't matter, it's just a useless Tegu. Liuohao, Admiral Royshing, shall I give you this blood-drinking sword that has been successfully strengthened? Roy, no, as I said before, if the enhancement is successful, you can keep it for yourself. After getting the Chaos Dragon Leviathan and Hercules belt, Roy really doesn't care much about toys like the blood-drinking sword. It would be nice to give it to Liuohao as a small gift to cultivate a little favor. Choose. Liuohao didn't show any pretense and immediately Kaido's, okay, I will accept your gift. I will definitely return the gift if I have the opportunity in the future. Uchiha. Oh no, this must be a token of love or something. Sister Liuohao, don't fall into his Highness Roy's scheme. He definitely wants to put you on the bed like this and again. Tasakasura. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, this is truly a statement made by an idiot. I think you will stumble on your own mouth sooner or later. The world of Godslayer. This woman is a little presumptuous. Liuohao narrowed his eyes and stared at Uchiha name, remembering her secretly in his heart. If you dare to make a joke about the Devil King, you will not be punished. But Roy, a world noble from the world of pirates? Noticing that Roy had been turning on the live broadcast in the chat group, Liuohao clicked in directly. In the live broadcast screen, wearing the Hercules belt, a precious treasure around his waist, Roy is walking step by step towards the prison where the aloof Redfield is. Uchiha, it's about to start, it's about to start. Get the ice cream and popcorn ready. Uchiha, who has been following Roy's live broadcast, was very excited and was the ultimate happy person. Pirate World. Roy had already walked up to Redfield. I saw my own death, even though he was not a person with abilities. Redfield, who was still restrained by sea-stone handcuffs, looked at Roy with his turbid eyes. Kid, I just heard those people calling you Roy Saint. Are you a celestial dragon? Why can't I hear your voice? Chapter 14. I will take care of your wife and children. Aloof Redfield's observation haki is very powerful. Not only can he hear the voices of others, but he can also predict the future briefly. This powerful observation haki qualified him to be at the top of the ocean, but it also made him lose trust in other people and make him lonely throughout his life. Perhaps it's because Roy has fused the hand of Hermes and has divine power in his body. Roy became the first person he met who couldn't read his thoughts at all. Even the Pirate King Roger, who was imprisoned not far away, could not do this. It would have been better if I had met you decades earlier. Redfield sighed with regret to Roy. I wouldn't have become friends with you if I met you decades earlier. Roy raised his hand and took out a bunch of keys that Shura had secretly handed to him before, and said in an indifferent tone, I am a celestial dragon, destined to be at the top of the world for the rest of my life, and you are just a poor guy wandering around, with different paths and different paths. Seek. As soon as he finished speaking, he flicked his wrist, and the key flew straight in the direction of Redfield. Crack. Redfield took the key and opened the sea-stone handcuffs that restrained him. The aloof Redfield is free again. It's so comfortable. Redfield stretched himself very comfortably for Roy to take the initiative to release himself. Neither he nor the Pirate King Roger, who was not far away, was at all surprised. They have already seen it through observation. Haki, are you ready to die? Roy asked calmly. Of course not. A strange color flashed in his eyes, and Redfield's tone gradually became colder, because the person who is going to die is you. The disrespectful Draco brat. Buzz, Conqueror's Haki, who was alone in the sea, erupted from Redfield's body like a tsunami, crushing towards Roy mercilessly. Redfield himself swept towards Roy at an extremely exaggerated speed, his fingers like knives, wrapped with a layer of jet-black violent lightning. Conqueror's Haki blasts the enemy's spirit. Conqueror's Haki entangles and crushes the enemy's body. Even though he hadn't fought for many years, Redfield still showed his top pirate strength in an instant, without any intention of showing mercy. It's really not weak. Looking at the crimson figure so close to him, Roy couldn't help but sigh. If it were him not long ago, even if the Celestial Dragon had outstanding talent and had awakened observation Haki, he would probably be killed by Redfield in an instant. However, now, Redfield was not enough in front of him. Shua. The moment before Conqueror's Haki was hit by Redfield's entangled attack, Roy raised his palm at an incredible speed and grabbed Redfield's wrist. What? Impossible. Redfield's eyes were wide open, completely unable to understand what was happening in front of him. How did you do that? Even Roger, who was maintaining observation Haki not far away, could not see Roy's movements clearly, and his face was full of surprise. The belt of Hercules. Roy's strength and speed can always be superior to his enemies, which is simply a godlike ability. And Roy naturally wouldn't just sit around and explain to them. Crack. With a little force on his palm, and with the support of Hercules' belt, Roy's strength was completely crushed by Redfield. This terrifying power crushed his wrist in an instant. Well, damn it. You're careless. This kid is stronger than Whitebeard, and his speed surpasses Roger. Redfield's eyes were splitting as he endured the severe pain and retreated, trying to break free from Roy's restraints. However, his resistance was destined to be in vain. With the blessing of the noble Phantasm, Roy's speed and strength at this time were superior to him. Crack. Before he could react, Redfield's throat was crushed. The eyes that had lost their vitality were not closed for a long time, and the body fell to the ground with a thud. He once crossed the sea alone and broke into the famous aloof Red, and then he fell. Asts, beautiful, perfect. There is no mistake or relaxation at all. He is simply a born warrior. Liu Hao, indeed, as far as I know, Roy has just gained his abilities, right? He's already quite outstanding. I'm looking forward to your future. Liu Hao, speaking of which, was that the effect of the Hercules belt just now? It feels similar to the power of the God Slayer. Both the strength and speed are superior to the opponent. It is indeed too strong. Sakura Tasuka, brother Roy is so awesome. Uchiha, another legend has died. I wonder what effect Redfield will give His Highness Roy. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, you are indeed a noble man of the world. I think it would be more suitable if my ability to stop time for 5 seconds is placed on you. Yamato Genryu's I whispered, is Roger the Pirate King the only one left? Mr. Roy's trip to the Undersea prison has finally come to an end. Pirate World. With Redfield's death, the hand of Hermes began to seize the legend of his life to create a new fantasy weapon. Soon, a brand new noble phantasm appeared. I am the master of life and death. Level, none. Type, inherent barrier. The Redfield lived a lonely life, always pursuing immortality and fearing aging and death. The hand of Hermes sublimated this long-cherished thought and used divine power to create a fantasy treasure called I am the Lord who controls life and death. If a target is pulled into the inherent barrier, the target will become old and weak, even if it is an immortal species. TSK. So I'm actually the protagonist of a novel, and it's the type of invincible novel, right? Seeing this ridiculously exaggerated ability, Roy felt a little sorry for his future enemy. He casually sent the relevant information about this treasure to the chat group, which naturally aroused the exclamation and envy of everyone in the group. Roy then turned to look at Roger, the Pirate King not far away. It's finally my turn next. Roger raised his hands that were restrained by sea-stone handcuffs and said with a wry smile, if I can kill that guy Redfield instantly, I'm not much stronger. I won't resist. You can just do it. Good. Roy nodded. Having already tested the strength and consumption of his abilities, he didn't intend to waste any more time. But before taking action, he suddenly remembered something. Your wife Rouge will die of exhaustion in 2 years, and your son Ace will be publicly executed by Marine in 22 years. Roy told Roger the plot of the original One Piece. What did you say? Roger's eyes widened suddenly, and an extremely terrifying conqueror's haki burst out from his body. Is this haki from Roger the Pirate King? Oops. Nothing will happen to Saint Roy. Stussy, Magellan, Akainu and others who were guarding outside the prison gate all groaned and were knocked to the ground by the haki. Their eyes looked at the direction where the haki came from in horror. They wanted to go in and check the situation, but they couldn't muster the slightest strength. This is Roger the Pirate King. In the original work, the red-haired four emperors use Conqueror's haki to suppress the Admiral Green Bull from a distance. Of course Roger can do the same thing, and even better than the redhead. Inside the 6th floor. After Roy revealed some more things that will happen in the future, Roger has generally believed Roy's words. The world of One Piece itself has time travel, future predictions and divination. Although it is amazing to know what the future holds, it is not too unusual. Why are you saying this to me? Do you want me to die in despair and grief? Roger, who had regained his composure, looked at Roy with complicated eyes, filled with guilt for his wife and unmet son. It was himself who had caused them trouble. No, I am not that boring and heartless person, Pirate King. Of course Roy isn't that bad. Regarding Roger's question, Roy patiently explained that is just the original future and can be changed. Roger was stunned and asked subconsciously, what do you mean? A friendly smile appeared on Roy's face. After you die, I will take care of your wife and children. I will definitely make them happy, so you don't have to worry too much. Chapter 15 God's Avoidance. Please collect it. Thank you. In Roy's previous life, Genghis Khan had a famous saying, the greatest joy in life is to defeat an enemy who has oppressed, bullied, despised, and humiliated you, but is much stronger than you. Then, rob their wives and daughters, own their belongings, and watch them wash their faces with tears. Of course Roger never bullied or oppressed Roy, but Roy is a celestial dragon, and Roger's purpose is to overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons. He doesn't want to enjoy himself. There is no greater class hatred than this. Laugh. Instead of untying Roger's handcuffs like Redfield, with the blessing of Hercules' belt, before Roger could react, Roy had already slashed out with a knife. Blood spurted out, and Pirate King Roger's head rolled to the ground. He did not wait for his public execution, nor did he ever get the chance to deliver the speech in the original novel that inspired the entire world. Boom. Roy Saint. Are you okay? The door of the underwater prison was knocked open from the outside. Akainu, Stussy and others rushed in, looking at Roy worriedly. Then, his eyes suddenly opened wide. Pirate King Roger is dead. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Stussy muttered to himself in confusion. Magellan is in despair. Do whatever you want. The worst he can do is be punished by the 5 elders and go to jail for the rest of his life. Akainu and Amanosha were very happy. They both agreed with Roy's lynching. Bad things like pirates should have died. Unlike Akainu and others who rushed in later, everyone in the chat group saw the entire process of Roger's death through live broadcast. Naturally, they all heard Roy's shocking words, I will take care of your wife and children. Miyuki, good guy. I call him good guy. Should I say that he is worthy of being a Danlong? He is not trying to hide it at all. Miyuki, but having said that, Ace's mother, Potkas de Rouge, is also a beauty, and she also has a very distinctive tits. Madara beauty. Your Highness Roy, you have made a lot of money this time. Surataka, brother Roy is bad. Kasumigaoka Shiha, it seems that our group not only has the Uchiha slut, but also the pirate scumbag. Yamato Genryuzai whispered, Roy and Roger are hostile. Besides, changing the fate of Rouge and Ace, it's hard to say whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Asts, hey, boring sympathy, it is only natural that the winner takes everything from the weak. How? Indeed, just like the god-killers kill the gods and take away their power, the strong ravage and plunder the weak is the truth in the world. Regarding Roy's shocking remarks, everyone in the crowd had different opinions. Girls with kind personalities, especially children, obviously cannot accept what Roy does. But they also know that their relationship with Roy is just ordinary friends at best, so naturally they won't say anything to dissuade others. For example, Kasumigaoka who just had a venomous tongue out of habit. Asts and How are Roy's staunch supporters. To a certain extent, they are all extremely self-centered people similar to Roy, and the world is not as big as myself. As for the other 2 time-traveling women, Miyuki is a pure fun person plus slut LSP. Even though she is jealous of Roy every day, she probably wants Roy to capture all the beauties in the pirate world. Yamato Genryuzai feels that Roy is indeed a bit confused on the issue of men and women, but this is not necessarily a bad thing. After all, according to the original plot, Rouge and her son Ace both died young and are tragic figures in the pirate world. If Rouge followed Roy, a celestial dragon, maybe mother and son would live longer and have a happy life. Pirate World. After killing all the 6th floor of the underwater prison, there is no need to stay here anymore. Magellan and Shiyu of the Rain were left with a group of frightened guards to clean up the corpses in the underwater prison. Roy did not immediately check the noble phantasm obtained by killing Roger, but returned to the warship parked outside the underwater prison with Akainu and Stussy. On the way, Roy made a call to 5 elders. "Hello?" Grandpa Satan picked up the call. "Akainu is really loyal and courageous. I propose that he be directly promoted to the position of Admiral and be able to take charge of Buster Call and severely combat pirates around the world. Also, I accidentally killed Gulong, the director of the Undersea prison. I wanted his crippled son to go to the army as a Vice Admiral for retirement as compensation." Yes, Magellan was promoted to Director and Vice Admiral, and Shiyu was promoted to Deputy Director and Rear Admiral. "I am very optimistic about this young man, Shiyu. He has good qualifications, is loyal, and has a bright future. By the way, I killed all the 6th floor of the underwater prison." Well, they were all killed, not a single one was left alive. World Destroyer, Gugo Hong, and Pirate King Roger are all dead. I guess Leia. She won't be angry, right? After all, they are just a bunch of trash pirates. That's it. Snapped. Roy hung up the phone directly without waiting for Saint Satan on the opposite side to continue complaining. During the live broadcast, Uchiha Miyuki almost cried when she saw this scene. "Uchiha Miyuki, I'm so envious. I'm so jealous." Uchiha Miyuki, is the difference in treatment between the protagonist and the supporting role so obvious? You traveled through time and became a relative of the Lord of the World, and even the 5 elders didn't look down on you, but I dressed as Uchiha and was stared at by the village's senior officials every day. Damn it, you have to be careful even when you're looking for a pretty girl to post. Uchiha Miyuki, it's so unfair. I feel sorry for Miki's sister. Asks, so why don't you hurry up and become stronger? As long as you have the strength to overturn the table, you don't need to care about Konoha village or Hokage. How? Yes, the strength that can crush everything is the confidence of the person, even little Roy. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, this idiot is a loser. If you expect her to take the initiative to become stronger, you should wait until the next life. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, it's no wonder she would time travel to the Uchiha clan, which is full of dangers. If this guy time travels and becomes a celestial dragon, I'm afraid he will really be ruined and become a waste who only knows how to enjoy. Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, Admiral Roy Saint, by the way, Roy, what is the noble phantasm you got from killing the pirate King Roger? It must be a very powerful ability, right? Roy, well it's indeed a good noble phantasm, and it's the type I like. After speaking, Roy sent the relevant information to the chat group. This is, in the Shinigami world, Yamamoto Genryusai, still wearing tight-fitting training clothes, whispered softly and his beautiful eyes widened. What Roy got this time was a weapon-like treasure similar to Saba's Sword of Victory in the Moon World. Its name only had 2 words. God Avoids. Chapter 16 Strategy for Akainu. What a beautiful girl game. Please collect tilde. Divine Avoidance is a sword skill from One Piece. The principle is very simple. It is the sword energy that surrounds Conqueror's haki and cuts it out. In Roy's previous life, this move was quite famous among the pirate fan community, and it even gave rise to the phrase "Do gods avoid you?" But in fact, the name Kanabi comes from Kojiki and refers to the death of Izanami. Therefore, the meaning of gods avoid is not gods avoid, but gods die. It can be said to be a slash that even gods cannot avoid. In the comics, it was first used by Roger, the Pirate King, to defeat Kazukiden with one sword. After Roger's death, this trick was inherited by the red-haired Shanks. After that, it was a sword fight. Kid, who had just followed the protagonist Luffy to defeat 2 4 emperors, was very satisfied. It can be said to be the strongest sword skill in the pirate world before Roy traveled through time. The fantasy weapon obtained by Roy after killing Roger is a legendary and sublimated treasure phantom based on this sword skill. God Avoids. Grade 1. Type, Anti-Personnel Noble Phantasm. A fantasy divine outfit created based on One Piece goal D. Roger's strongest sword skill God's Avoidance and the divine power of the Hand of Hermes. When not liberated, its appearance is a gorgeous golden sword, and its strength is among the best among noble phantasms. After liberation, he will gather the power of God to unleash a sure hit slash that ignores space, distance, time, defense and dodge. It is a fantasy strike that even gods cannot avoid in the true sense. Uchiha Miyuki, a sure hit. Dog support. Another concept level costume. This game can't be played too hot. Asks, is it a sure hit? And it can even ignore defense. Scary. How? It is indeed an extremely terrifying divine weapon. To a certain extent, it has even surpassed the power obtained by killing the god of disobedience like me, the God Slayer. The only problem is the attack strength of this inevitable slash. How? Yamamoto Genryusai whispered, TSK, the effect is simply more comprehensive than the cause and effect reversing Death Thorn Spear in the Moon World. If my Zanpakuto can also have the sure hit effect, It will be directly invincible to Soul Society. Aizen is not enough for me to kill Kasumigaoka Shiyu. Will you hit plus die immediately? It is indeed the strongest combination. Tasukusura, congratulations to Brother Roy. Now you have enough countermeasures even against illusions. Roy, little Sakura is so good. Roy, everyone, I have achieved all my goals for the Undersea prison team, and I am going to shut down a live broadcast. On the ship back to the Holy Land Marie Joyce, Roy was about to turn off the live broadcast and take a good rest with Stussy. But Akainu suddenly walked over to him. Roy Saint. The tall, iron-blooded man stopped in front of Roy, bowed slightly, and said in a respectful tone, "Thank you for your respect for me. I will never let you down. I will definitely kill all the pirates." Clean. Akainu became more and more excited as he spoke, and it seemed that the hot magma power in his body could not help but burst out. "Well, do your job well. I'm very optimistic about you." Roy nodded and raised his hand to pat Akainu on the shoulder. He knew that it was impossible for Akainu to be loyal to him so easily, but it was obvious that his favorability level had been very high. Thinking of this, Roy's face suddenly looked strange. Uchiha, ha ha ha. It's just like a beautiful girl game. Akainu's favorability has been boosted very high by His Highness Roy. Uchiha, under normal circumstances, there should be a very cool CG here. The young master of the 10 Long People and the young wife of the Marine Admiral. Roy. The veins on his forehead popped out. It's hard. The fist is hard. Sooner or later, we have to deal with this idiot and let her understand why the flowers are so red and why the world's nobles are so bad. Roy Saint. Akainu looked at Roy suspiciously, obviously aware of the abnormal mood of the celestial dragon in front of him. It's okay. Roy showed a forced smile and was about to send Akainu away. But Stussy, who had changed into a platinum dress and stockings, came over again. Roy Street. A hint of cunning flashed through her beautiful eyes. Stussy grabbed Roy's arm and lay half in his arms. Who is stronger, you or Akainu? The Vice Admiral of Logia Lava Fruit. Of course Roy is stronger. Before Roy could speak, Akainu had already expressed his true thoughts without hesitation. If he had heard this question not long ago, Akainu would have only laughed. Are you kidding? Comparing his powerful Logia ability, which has been fighting on the front line, with those pampered pigs. This is the ultimate insult to yourself and Marine. But the undersea prison and his entourage completely overturned Akainu's understanding of the celestial dragons as a group. The huge bone dragon that covered the sky and the sun, like a natural disaster or apocalypse, was still a terrifying scene that kept reappearing in his mind. Legendary pirates such as Roger the Pirate King and Lonely Red Redfield, who traversed the sea, died tragically like chickens and dogs at the hands of Roy, a celestial dragon. Akainu will never forget the extremely terrifying conqueror's haki that broke out before Roger's death. He suppressed himself to the ground and couldn't move. It was simply humiliating. However, Roy still killed Roger without even minor injuries. Is this the celestial dragon? Looking at Roy's handsome appearance that was different from the ordinary idiot celestial dragon, Akainu felt a rare sense of awe. They are indeed a clan of gods who have been able to rule the world for 800 years. I think those pigs were deliberately raised to waste in the past. The Saint Roy in front of me is the real mainstay and core of the Danlong people. In the chat group, everyone continued to watch the live broadcast with great interest. Uchiha, is Stussy causing trouble? But femme fatales are even more attractive, aren't they? Kasumigaoka, haha, why do I feel that she is more jealous and troublesome? Tasukusura, eating ... jealous, Yamato Genryu's I whispered, Shu, don't follow that Uchiha idiot. There is only one woman on this ship, Stussy. How jealous is she? Uchiha, senpai, you're not talking nonsense. I don't believe the way you look at Akainu. Yamato Genryu's I whispered, huh? Everyone subconsciously looked at Akainu's eyes during the live broadcast, and suddenly fell silent. 3 points of awe, 4 points of admiration and 3 points of trust are simply fan charts. Tasukusura, so, Brother Roy is really trying to attack this Akainu Admiral. It's so scary. Although I don't care about gender, at least I have to be good looking, right? What can I say about this Akainu ... ugly? Yamato Genryu's I whispered ... indeed. Uchiha, I agree. Roy looked at these rotten girls with a dark look on their face as they talked more and more, and felt that it was outrageous that her mother opened the door for them. It was so outrageous. Doing anything will only harm you. But, then again, now it's indeed a good opportunity to conquer Akainu. Want to give it a try? Say Keizuki. After exiting the chat group and holding Stussy's waist, Roy said seductively to Akainu, would you like to experience the most powerful sword skill in the world for yourself? Chapter 17 Akainu, come. Strike with another sword. Please collect Akainu. In the original One Piece, he is the future Marine Admiral and Marshal. As a user with Logia Lava Fruit ability, he has amazing fighting ability, has a very bad temper, and is not afraid of death when fighting. He hates evil, but he is also inhumane, and he will not hesitate to sacrifice innocent people and subordinates in order to destroy the pirates. In Roy's previous life, these were all black spots. Not benevolent enough. In this life size, these are all advantages to Roy. It can be said that as long as you can make Akainu sincerely follow you, he will definitely be a rare high-quality subordinate. The question is, how to conquer, strategy. Akainu, satisfy his cruel ideal. Show your overwhelming strength. Make Akainu realize that you are someone worthy of his following. It's that simple. The strongest sword skill in the world? Akainu stared at Roy with burning eyes, eager to try. He was originally a swordsman, but his talent was not good enough and he ate the lava fruit, so he gave up the sword. But he still yearns for kendo all the way, and Roy can be said to have caught his greed. Please allow me to see it, Saint Roy. As a sign of respect, I will do my best. The tone was still respectful, but the aura on Akainu's body became increasingly hot, and the hot magma flowed from his body surface onto the deck, making a harsh sound. Observation Haki, armament Haki, Logia lava fruit. At this moment, Akainu showed everything he had without daring to be careless, just because he had seen Roy's power and terror in the underwater prison. But in the face of Akainu's fierce attack, Roy had no reaction. He even still held Stussy with his right hand, leaving only one left hand functioning normally. Roy Saint? Akainu looked at Roy confused, wondering what he meant. Just attack with all your strength. Roy said casually, if I strike first, you won't have a chance to strike. Uchiha, what a guy. Such obvious provocation and contempt. Asts, Roy is telling the truth. Liu-Oh, that's right. Liu-Oh, with these two treasures, Hercules belt and divine evasion, at least in the world of pirates, there should be very few people who Roy can't kill instantly with his first move. Yamato Genryu's whispered, that's not a problem. After all, the most indispensable thing in the pirate world is monsters with amazing vitality, and this Akainu Vice Admiral is one of them. Liu-Oh, really? That's really worth looking forward to. Are you so confident? Of course. Akainu couldn't know the content of the chat in the chat group, faced with Roy's suspected contempt for him. He was still a bit young and energetic at this time, so he naturally felt unhappy in his heart. He wants to prove to Roy that he is no weakling. Boom! There was an explosion, and the hot magma underfoot erupted like a rocket jet, causing the entire ship to shake violently. Under this huge thrust, Akainu dived straight down from midair in the direction of Roy. Dark Hound, with a heart-rending roar, Akainu's arm turned into hot lava and hit Roy's head like a meteor at high speed. In the original One Piece book Summit War, Akainu used this move to smash half of Whitebeard's face in one fell swoop. The attack speed is fast and has astonishing destructive power. At the same time, it still retains the continuous damage of high-temperature magma. It is not unpowerful. This Roy Saint, looking at the terrifying high-temperature lava that seemed so close at hand, Stussy's pretty face turned pale, and cold sweat dripped down the tip of her nose and onto Roy's chest. Although she is not weak, even most marine vice admirals are no match for her. But in the face of this natural disaster-like move, Stussy was still frightened. And Roy finally moved. God's avoidance. Zheng. A gorgeous golden sword appeared out of thin air in Roy's left hand, and he lightly slashed at Akainu who was charging in midair. The golden sword light seemed to penetrate the entire world. This is a sure hit that ignores space, distance, time, defense and dodge. Under this sword, the hot magma, the sea within tens of kilometers, and the clouds in the sky 10,000 meters high were all cut in half, leaving a ravine that could not be restored for a long time. And Akainu himself screamed, spitting out a large mouthful of blood, and fell to the deck in an awkward manner from the air. The military uniform became tattered, and there was a shocking penetrating wound extending from the shoulder to the waist. Is this an instant kill? Stussy's beautiful eyes widened with horror on her face. In her opinion, if Akainu wasn't a Logia lava fruit user, Roy's sword would have cut him in half. In the chat group, everyone who witnessed this live broadcast was speechless for a long time. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, I can't understand it at all. Sure enough, I'm just a little bastard from the daily series. Tasaka Sakura-chan does the same. Uchiha, while trembling, please don't let His Highness Roy travel to the Hokage world. Asts, what a beautiful sword. My blood boils when I see it. I'll go find the Revolutionary Army today and kill him 7 times in and 7 out. Liu-Oh, it is indeed the ultimate sword that ignores time, space, distance and defense. It is very powerful, but it is not completely without a way to break it. Yamato Genryu's whispered, yes, the simplest way to crack it is to defeat Brother Roy before he releases the God's Avoidance. Uchiha, but have you forgotten that His Highness Roy has the Hercules belt, a treasure? His speed will definitely be faster than the enemy he faces. Yamato Genryu's whispered, this, Liu-Oh, it doesn't matter, as long as there are many people attacking you. The chances will be greater. Looking at the information in the chat group, Roy couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. I have to say that if there are too many martial arts fans, they will tend to this style of painting. Originally, everyone was happily chatting and bragging, but there were always these few who were studying how to fight with themselves every day. But that's part of the fun of chat groups. Being powerful but not showing off in battle is just like Jinyi-xing, which means nothing. Wow, this. What kind of power is this? Lying on the ground and vomiting blood, Akainu asked Roy eagerly. This sword was really terrifying, but he didn't feel the entangling power of armament haki or conquerors from this sword. How did Roy hurt his elemental self? It's divine power, Roy said casually. In fact, even he himself didn't know the specific principle. Divine power? That's it. Akainu was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized. He understood the divine power in Roy's words to mean the mysterious power that only the celestial dragons could control. Roy didn't bother to explain and said directly, "How is it, Akainu? Do you feel the strongest sword skill in the world?" Akainu didn't speak, but endured the severe pain of his body being torn apart, climbed up from the deck, then opened his hands and raised his chest to face Roy. Roy had a question mark. "What do you mean?" "It is a shame for a soldier to be injured in the back." Akainu gritted his teeth and said, "Come on, one more strike." "Roy." Yamato Genryu's whispered. "Uchiha Miyuki, PFFT ha ha ha. What the hell is this guy Akainu? Where did he come from?" Roronoa Zora and Retsu Poseidon of the Blade Tooth World. Chapter 18. The treatment of Stussy. Please collect it, thank you. The scene of Akainu holding back the pain of his body being almost cut in half, opening his arms for Roy to strike again, made Uchiha Miyuki unable to hold back. It's really like those famous scenes. Roronoa Zora vs. Hokage. Being injured in the back is a shame for a swordsman. Retsu Poseidon to Miyamoto Musashi. Come on, one more chop. In the One Piece and Hage comics, these two people are popular supporting characters on the protagonist's side. Naturally, there is no sense of violation when talking about this, but they are very handsome. But Akainu is positioned as a villain in the original work. Still the kind of iron-blooded, serious and cold-faced villain. This contrast is naturally very interesting to people like Uchiha Miyuki who have read the original work. On the contrary, Acedes and Uchiha are the two queen and female tyrant-type eldest sisters, so their impression of Akainu is much better. Acedes, is he an iron-blooded soldier? No matter what he is like as a person, his persistence is enough to be respected. Uchiha, this magma kid has the courage to belong to a strong man. Even many god slayers cannot compare with him at this point. If it were not restricted by the world, his achievements would probably be more than this. Acedes doesn't care for the moment. As a powerful god slayer who has existed for more than 200 years, Uchiha's evaluation is enough to make Akainu proud. And Roy will certainly not disappoint Akainu. Okay, then let's strike again. This time, he didn't release the noble phantasm divinity, and Roy didn't want to really kill Akainu, so he just slashed with a normal sword. Laugh. Blood spurted out, and another 1-meter-long sword wound appeared on Akainu's body, forming an X shape with the previous injury. Even though Roy didn't know how to use armament haki, the noble phantasm divine evasion still successfully broke through the defense. This may be the effect of the divine power Roy mentioned. It may also be the theory of the moon world mystery will lose its effect in the face of higher-level mysteries. Boom. Akainu, who was continuously seriously injured, sat in a pool of blood with a pale face. He raised his head and looked directly at Roy seriously, saying, "Next time, I won't lose so miserably." "Really? I'm looking forward to it." Roy felt a little embarrassed, although he really wanted to say that the gap between us will probably become even bigger the next time we meet. But he is not a person without emotional intelligence, so he will naturally not attack others. After lowering his head and thinking about it, Roy took out a precious phantom from his god's treasure. Well, the so-called treasure of God is actually a pirated version of Jin Shining's treasure of the king. To put it bluntly, it is a warehouse dedicated to storing Roy's treasures. In the previous massacre in the underwater prison, Roy obtained nearly 100 noble phantasms. Although most of them are useless things, even the blood-drinking sword given to Uchiha is considered a masterpiece among them. But there really is such a noble phantasm suitable for Akainu. Strengthening necklace. Grade 1. Type: noble phantasm against oneself. It is a fantasy weapon created with the power of Paramecia, the power-enhancing fruit user, and the power of the hand of Hermes. It can strengthen the strength, stamina, energy, etc. it possesses, and explode to twice the level equivalent to normal times. This is the noble phantasm Roy obtained after killing an unlucky prisoner on the 4th floor of the Undersea prison. To put it bluntly, the strengthening necklace is a prop that makes a person twice as strong. For Roy, this is really useless. The strengthening effect is too weak, and it is rubbish compared to Hercules' belt. But for Akainu, it's a good baby. Originally, his strength was at most a little stronger than Kizaru and Aokiji. After the increase of strengthening necklace, it must be at least 5 points stronger. This precious necklace is for you, said Kazuki. After telling Akainu the effect of the strengthening necklace, Roy raised his hand and handed it over. This is my reward for accompanying me through the underwater prison. It's such a precious thing. It's simply unheard of. After receiving the strengthening necklace and feeling that his strength really began to improve at a speed visible to the naked eye, Akainu was extremely pleasantly surprised. As a Logia user, it is already extremely difficult for him to improve his strength. If you want to become twice as strong, You may not be able to do it even if it takes 10 years, but now you can achieve it in an instant with Roy's help. Sure enough, Saint Roy is the one worthy of his Akainu loyalty, and only he can realize his dream. Roy Saint. Holding the strengthening necklace given to him by Roy in both hands, Akainu endured the excruciating pain and knelt down on one knee, his eyes extremely fervent. As long as you can always support me in killing those pirate scum, I will always offer my allegiance to you. Amidst Uchiha Miki's loud laughter and congratulations from other members of the crowd, Roy closed the live broadcast and took Stussy back to his luxurious bedroom. As for Akainu, of course he went to the ship's doctor to recuperate. Roy Street. Stussy was soaked in cold sweat. Stussy knelt in front of Roy nervously, not daring to raise her beautiful head. In front of her, there was a newly lit brazier with a hot iron in it. I know you're a clone and have allegiance to Vegapunk. As if he had enough power, Roy, who was sitting on the bed, felt relaxed and took the initiative to tell Stussy's little secret. Stussy didn't dare to speak, but her head hung lower, almost hitting the ground. Is your unwillingness to speak out of fear or regret? Looking at Stussy's beautiful short golden hair with great interest, Roy smiled lightly and said, I will give you one last chance to swear allegiance to me, or you will be cut in two and fed to the fishes. Stussy slowly raised her ridiculously beautiful face, with tears in her beautiful eyes, looking pitiful. But Roy would not sympathize with her even a little bit. It is the foundation of human beings to prey on the weak and the strong. If he is not strong enough, Stussy will definitely betray him without hesitation in the future. Therefore, he naturally does not need to show mercy to this woman. I'm willing to be loyal. Give everything I have. Her red lips parted slightly, but there was still a hint of reluctance in her heart. But of course Stussy knew what she should choose. No matter Roy's identity, background, or his strength, she was not allowed to make other choices. Very good. Roy smiled with satisfaction. Just lift up your dress and expose your belly. Yes. Stussy did as she was told, revealing her belly without any blemishes or fat. Very beautiful. Roy praised Stussy without hesitation, then picked up the hot iron and lightly pressed it on Stussy's abdomen. Zitsy. Well, accompanied by a burning smell, Stussy frowned, and cold sweat slowly flowed from her smooth forehead. A long time. The torture is over. A brand of Hoof of the Sky Dragon badge with the name Roy appeared on Stussy's lower abdomen. This signifies that this woman has not become a celestial dragon, but Roy's exclusive slave. Okay, isn't everyone happy now? Gently picking up Stussy, who was in pain and dripping with cold sweat, Roy said in a gentle tone, from today on, you are my dog. Don't betray your master or let me down, Miss Stussy. Chapter 19. The Ambition of Kid Yamato. Please collect it. Thank you. On the way back, Roy left his personal phone number with Akainu, and the two groups parted ways. Akainu will definitely return to Naval Headquarters, and Roy also hopes that Akainu can be promoted to Admiral as soon as possible, and even Marine Marshal, to control the power. Roy himself wants to return to the Holy Land to plan his next move. He didn't forget his promise to Roger. My good brother Roger gave me such an astonishingly powerful treasure as God's refuge. How could I not devote myself to taking good care of his widow and children? Nirona Roy Saint, am such a good man who keeps his word. Quack. A news bird suddenly flew over Roy's head. It's so noisy. Knock it down. As a Draco, Roy naturally couldn't spend money to buy newspapers, and he didn't need to worry about Morgan's Birdman retaliating against him. Yes, Roy Saint. Stussy, whose attitude was more respectful than ever before, gracefully raised her lace-gloved palm and tapped her fingertips in the air. Fly finger pistol. Whoosh! Exclamation mark. With a perfect hit from a distance of 2 kilometers, the newsbird wailed and fell into the sea. Upon seeing this, Stussy immediately flew into the air on the moonwalk, not caring that she was wearing a dress, exposing everything to Roy's eyes. After all, strictly speaking, some of her things now belong to Roy and are Roy's personal belongings. Roy Saint. Catching the newspaper from Xinyan, Stussy returned to Roy and handed the newspaper over with a sweet smile. That kind and gentle gesture made it seem as if she was not the one who had been branded with the hoof of the heavenly soaring dragon on her abdomen not long ago. Good. Roy smiled gently and took the newspaper, then stroked Stussy's short blonde hair like a puppy. The latter also enjoyed this intimate atmosphere, rubbing his face as smooth as a shelled egg against Roy's palm. If Uchiha Miki, who traveled to the Hokage world, saw this scene, she would definitely go crazy with jealousy. She traveled through time much earlier than Roy, but until now she has only become best friends with the female character she likes, and it is difficult to go further. At the same time, Roy opened the newspaper and frowned. Shock. Narona Roy and the 27 world government concubines and princesses' bad fate. Shock. The giant bone dragon that covers the sky and spans several islands? Is it a person with fantasy beast ability, or is it an unknown mysterious weapon? Shock. Undersea prison massacre. The most wanton and reckless celestial dragon in 800 years appeared in the World Economic News. The front page headlines are all news related to Roy. Not only are they used in shocking style, but they all have pictures and facts. Needless to say, there are many romances with princesses and concubines. It is rare to have a Tanlong who is relatively well known, And people all over the world love to see this stuff. In fact, this is just a ridiculous behavior of Roy, who was stunned by the glory and wealth in front of him just after time travel. But the process is indeed very enjoyable and memorable. Second piece of news. Outside the underwater prison, it was quite normal for the supergiant bone dragon released by liberating Leviathan, the dragon of chaos, to be seen and photographed. After all, it was so big that it spanned at least a dozen islands. It was like a continent in the sky. It was really strange that no one else had seen it. On the contrary, the third piece of news should not have been exposed. Why was the massacre in the underwater prison known to outsiders, and why were photos taken? Monitor? Traitor? Come to think of it, these are the only two possibilities. That Morgans is a lunatic who would even risk his life for big news. The only thing worth celebrating is that there is no reference to the 6th level in the photos of the underwater prison massacre. Therefore, the death of Pirate King Roger has not yet been exposed to the world. Roy no longer has to listen to the complaints and nagging of the 5 elders. As for Roger's death, how can he be publicly executed to show the majesty of world government? That's not easy. Roy directly told the 5 elders 2 methods and let them choose one. 1. Find a person with abilities similar to clone fruit, create a fake Roger and execute him in public. 2. Let Gecko Moria turn Roger's body into a zombie and then publicly execute him. Coincidentally, both the clone fruit ability user and Gecko Moria should be in the Wanokuni area of the New World at this time, and Roy also told the 5 elders. As for what they would do next, that was none of his business. Naval Headquarters, Conference Room. What happened on the 6th floor of the underwater prison was unknown to outsiders, so Marine naturally got the news. What a wanton dragon man. Crane Vice Admiral sighed softly. He didn't expect Roger, the Pirate King, to die so casually. Garp, who was eating senpai happily, now looked very ugly. In his opinion, Roger's death at the hands of Roy, a celestial dragon, was simply aggrieved and he might as well have been executed publicly. As for other Marine executives, it doesn't matter at all. Roger surrendered, but they didn't arrest him, and it wasn't Marine who wanted to publicly execute him. That was all world government's business. Now that Roger is dead, what does it have to do with them? At the same time, people all over the world, as long as there is information circulation, have seen the news in the World Economic News, but not many people care. There is one more cruel celestial dragon in the world, or one more terrifying giant monster. It has no impact at all on ordinary people who even have a luxury to eat, and those strong people don't care about this kind of news. Huge monster? Just kidding. What does it matter no matter how big you are? Isn't this the best tool to show us our strength? Therefore, Charlotte Lin of Big Mom Pirates continued to prepare for another wedding of hers happily. Whitebeard continued to play house with his sons and hold banquets. Golden Lion searches for the missing Roger all over the world, leaving mountains of corpses and seas of blood wherever he goes. On the other hand, Doflamingo, who was in North Blue, had a ferocious expression of envy and jealousy on his face, staring at the newspaper in his hand, wishing he could replace Roy. Only Kaido of the Beasts, who was entrenched in Wanokuni and had not completely defeated Kazukiden, looked at the newspaper with bright eyes. So big, so spectacular, so handsome. Looking at the giant bone dragon that covered the sky and the sun in the newspaper, Kaido just felt like he was in love. Let Losey find it. A mace knocked a drunken subordinate into a pulp. Kaido roared heartbreakingly. Whether he is a fantasy beast type user or a real monster, who can bring this big guy to beasts? Pirates, Losey will make him the deputy captain. Yes, Boss Kaido. The pirates who were still a little drunk were startled. Regardless of whether they wanted to go to sea to find monsters or not, they all immediately got up and fled quickly. Jin, who saw the fire disaster not far away, shook his head. Everyone in the panic did not notice a dirty kid with white hair in the corner, holding a newspaper and reading it with gusto. Narono Roy Saint, Princess? I can't understand. Slaughtering pirates in an undersea prison? Good or bad? What kind of manly behavior is it to kill unarmed guys? If you meet this guy in the future, you must give him a hard blow. Roy, who was returning to the Holy Land, didn't know that he was being targeted by a 4-year-old girl from Wanokuni. If he knew, he would probably feel dumbfounded. Give Losey a stick. Losey will give you a big stick for 3 days and 3 nights first. It depends on whether you, a little bitch, beg for mercy. Chapter 20 Furious Garp, please collect, thank you. At the same time that Roy returned to the Holy Land, Akainu also returned to naval headquarters on a warship. To be honest, Marine executives were quite surprised that Akainu could come back smoothly. But then, something even more surprising happened. What? Let's say Kazuki be directly promoted to Admiral of the headquarters without any further training and examination? This is against the rules. Logically speaking, he has to wait at least another 7 or 8 years for Sengoku to take over my position as Marshal before he can be promoted. What? The Order of the Celestial Dragon Saint Roy? The 5 elders also agreed. Alright, I got it. In the conference room, Kong hung up the phone with a depressed look on his face, feeling that things were a little out of his control. According to his original plan, he would be promoted to the world government as the commander-in-chief of the army within 10 years, and then Sengoku, the Buddha he had trained by himself, would take over as the Marine Marshal. After this, it is the best time for the three Logia geniuses, Akainu, Kizaru and Hokage, to be promoted to Admiral of the headquarters. However, under Roi's interference, everything changed. Akainu became Marine Admiral nearly 10 years ahead of Hokage and Kizaru, directly contemporaneous with Buddha's Sengoku. What does that mean? Is it possible that after I am promoted to world government in the future, that celestial dragon Saint Roy will let Akainu be the Marine Marshal? What did he think of Marine? Seeing Marshal Kong's constantly changing expression, everyone present had different expressions. They are all Marine senior executives, people who play with power every day. Naturally, they can think of things that Kong thinks of. Akainu, a young man, suddenly overtook another car and became a competitor of Buddha's Sengoku. Boom. The door was pushed open from the outside, and a burning sensation hit his face. Akainu strode into the conference room. Seikazuki ... What a terrible smell. Kizaru squinted his eyes and spoke in a sinister tone, but there was a hint of doubt in his heart. He felt that Akainu was stronger than before. On the sidelines, Aokiji, Garp and Crane showed no reaction when they saw Akainu returning. They are all firm supporters of Buddha's Sengoku and the mainstay of the Dove faction. Normally I don't like Akainu's extreme and cruel character, but now it's even more impossible to give him a good look. On the contrary, Zephyr, who taught Akainu single-handedly, took the initiative to show a friendly smile and said, "Congratulations, Seikazuki. You were promoted to Admiral at a young age. You are not a bit better than me as a teacher." "Thank you, Teacher Zephyr. This would not be possible without your careful teaching." Expressing his gratitude to Zephyr, Akainu quickly walked to the conference table and looked down at everyone present. "Saint Roy said that my Admiral installation ceremony will be held soon, but I already have the rights of Admiral." Recalling what Roy said to him on the ship, Akainu sighed softly in his heart and said with a serious expression, "Now I issue the first order to recruit 5 Vice Admirals, 10 warships and 10,000 Marine soldiers to go to South Blue searching for One Piece Roger's pregnant wife." "What?" Garp exclaimed, not even noticing that his favorite senpai fell to the ground. Hokage's already cold face became even more gloomy, and he asked in a deep voice, "Isn't this the configuration of Buster Call? Even if it is to catch One Piece's relatives, is it overkill?" Crane, Vice Admiral and others did not speak, but nodded, obviously agreeing with Hokage's statement. "What is Buster Call?" "That was a powerful firebombing that could wipe an island off the map forever. It is a method that is only used to deal with those legendary pirates. To dispatch a fleet of this size for a pregnant woman who is most likely to be helpless. Does Marine have too much money and nowhere to spend it?" But Akainu remained unmoved. He didn't know that Roy actually knew that Rouge had been hiding on Badula Island in South Blue as early as in the original work. But Roy just wants Marine to go through a lot of trouble to find him. He even had a plan in his mind to get the woman Portcas de Rouge to come forward and come to him. "This is Saint Roy's order. It is also my first order after taking over as Admiral." Akainu looked down at everyone present indifferently, and shouted sternly, "If you have any opinions, you can contact Saint Roy, or defeat me, the new Marine Admiral, here." "You're so respectful." When Saint Roy screams, "Seikazuki brat, did you betray your dignity and lick the dirty shoes of those celestial dragons?" Garp had long been entrusted by Roger to take care of his wife and children, and he did not want to break his promise to his best friend. And because Sengoku's future position as marshal seemed to be uncertain, the grumpy Garp finally couldn't hold it anymore and jumped up from his seat. "This old Marine is not a good student who is obedient. Summit War in the original book, because Ace is his godson. He did nothing in the Summit War and watched countless Marine subordinates who respected him die tragically in the war. It can be said that Garp is an extremely emotional old naughty boy who does not help his relatives." Garp, facing Garp's scolding, Akainu showed no intention of flinching. His eyes widened and he roared sternly, "Do you really think you caught Roger the Pirate King? You are just a veteran who is just trying to gain fame. Even the original rocks was made by you and Luo." Arsehole. Fistbone impact. As if Akainu had stabbed him in a sore spot, Garp roared and interrupted Akainu's words. The muscles of his right arm instantly broke through the military uniform, and the fist trapped around Haki slammed hard at Akainu. "Garp, Seikazuki, be careful." Everyone in the conference room was baffled when they saw Garp suddenly quarreling with Akainu. They never expected that Garp would attack Akainu first. "Is this old guy crazy?" Marshal Kong's muscles bulged all over, ready to rescue Akainu at any time. Garp's reputation is built through hard work, and defeating the once legendary rocks with Roger is the best proof. Marshal Sora did not think that the young Akainu would be Garp's opponent at all. Even if he knew in his heart that it was impossible for a Garp to kill Akainu, and the most he could do was beat him up to vent his anger, he would never allow it. Although I don't know what happened to Akainu during his trip to the Undersea prison, everyone in the conference room didn't know that Akainu was already in the form of Saint Roy, the Celestial Dragon. Sending a large army to search for Roger's wife was also an order given by Saint Roy. Chapter 21 Uchiha. You can come to the Hokage world. Is Garp really strong? I can only say, it's hard to say, but together with Roger, the Pirate King. He defeated the Rocks pirate who almost dominated the world. He chased Roger, the Pirate King, all over the world, and in the future he will be able to defeat the legendary pirate Golden Lion together with Sengoku the Buddha. These are all facts. Therefore, at least before he is old, Garp in his prime must not be weak, but very strong. Even Kong, Buddha Sengoku and others believe that Garp's strength will definitely crush the current Akainu. However, faced with Garp's terrifying punch, Akainu was not timid at all. Instead, he sneered and also waved his fist. Great eruption. The hot magma fist that spurted out almost distorted the air, and it collided hard with Garp's fist trapped around Haki. Boom! Exclamation mark. Along with a deafening sound, the horrifying shockwave and hot magma were centered on the two fists and crushed in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the conference room and the surrounding buildings within a few hundred meters were destroyed into ruins. Countless Marines were crushed in the ruins and howled miserably. They had no idea what was happening, and they even thought it was a big pirate coming to attack the headquarters. How is it possible? With the strength of Sengoku, Zephyr, Hokage and others, they would naturally not be injured by this impact. At this time, they all looked at the center of the battlefield with horrified expressions. I saw that Garp and Akainu were still in the fist-fighting posture at this time, and they didn't even take a step back. These two actually had a tie? No. Not a tie. Crane Vice Admiral, who has very keen observation skills, said with an extremely gloomy face, Garp is injured. What? Impossible. How could Mr. Garp be injured by Sakazuki? Of course Sengoku, Hokage and others could not accept Vice Admiral Haki's words. Observation Haki frantically captured the situation in the center of the battlefield. Then I saw that Akainu's military uniform was in tatters, but there was really no damage. On the contrary, it was Garp, whose body was covered with hot lava in several places, and also exuded the stench of roasted meat. At this point, anyone with a normal mind can understand it. The punch that Garp and Akainu exchanged was indeed Garp's fault. Even if the burns caused by these magma are not even minor injuries to Garp, he can recover completely by eating a barbecue. But for him to be injured by a young man like Akainu, as the marine hero that Marine was about to promote, was an undoubted defeat. Haha, you really hide your secrets, Sakazuki brat. In the center of the ruins, Garp laughed and retracted his fist, as if he was not the one who was angry just now. Akainu also took back his ability with a cold face, but he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He really didn't expect Garp to be so strong. You must know that under the influence of Roy's strengthening necklace, his various strengths have soared to twice their original strength. This is not a simple 1 + 1 = 2, now he can at least beat the previous 3 selves. But even so, his full strength attack just now only caused a slight injury to Garp. These old guys, as well as Sengoku, Hokage, and Crane Vice Admiral, cannot be loyal to Roy Saint. They are too soft-hearted. Looking at everyone present, Akainu said in a deep voice, what I just said about the Pirate King's wife, does it still make sense to you? No one spoke. Although it was only one move, Akainu had already proven his strength. Not only is he one step ahead of Kizaru and Hokage in terms of position, but his strength has surpassed them and can even be compared with the veteran Admiral Sengoku of Buddha. Although I don't know what happened between Akainu and Roy Saint, the Celestial Dragon, there is no doubt that Akainu will get support from the Celestial Dragon. Brother Sengoku is really in danger. Marshal Kong sighed in his heart, and then clapped his hands to wake everyone up. That's it for now. Hurry up and save people. Yes, Marshal Kong. Everyone with different thoughts then remembered that Garp and Akainu had a fight at naval headquarters. There was nothing wrong with them, but they suffered a lot from the weak Marine. Holy place, Marie Joyce. Unknown to Marine, Akainu's great Shokamyo, Roy and Stussy were walking slowly towards their palace. Halfway through, the chat group became lively again. I don't know why, but when everyone is chatting in the chat group, time flows at the same speed. But as long as you exit the chat group, the time flow rate in each world will become different. For example, it has been less than a day since Roy's live broadcast was shut down, but several days have passed since Uchiha Miki's side. At this time, the excitement in the group was related to Uchiha Miki. Uchiha Miki, damn it. Sister Mikoto was injured by Wagakure's ninjas, and she was almost captured and used as a hot weapon to cultivate Sharingan descendants. Those guys should be damned. Yamamoto, Uchiha Mikoto, Itachi and Sasuke's mother, your biological sister after time travel. Isn't this what you, an Uchiha idiot, have always wanted to do? Being both a sister and a wife is completely consistent. Where is your XP system? Uchiha Miki, nonsense. Nonsense. How could I have such evil thoughts? You are blaming someone's innocence out of thin air. Shinigami violent woman. Asts. Obviously she's an nymphomaniac, but she doesn't dare to admit it. She's not as good as Roy, a world noble. Roy, Liu oh how? So why don't you just go to them to take revenge? I think the perfect goddess development system you got is considered to be a good system at least. It should not be weak, right? Uchiha Miki, Well I'm staying with Kushina right now. She is also my wings and the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki who needs protection. I can't leave. Kasumigaoka Shiha, I'm so fierce. I never thought that one day I would see a woman riding 2 boats. It's really you, Uchiha, scumbag. Tasakasura, Mukine has a new nickname. Uchiha Muki, ahem. What a scumbag. Senior. Please don't slander me. Uchiha Muki, I'm off topic. I'm here to tell you something very important. Uchiha Muki. Just when I was hesitating about not being able to leave Kushina's side, but also wanting to avenge Mikoto, I suddenly got the qualification to release a mission from the chat group. Uchiha Muki, it's a mission. I can issue a mission and you will have the opportunity to come to my world to play. Chapter 22 Kasumigaoka Shu. I'm in a panic now. Please comment on the collection of flowers. Kneel down and thank you. Asts. Publish the mission, and then we in the group will take over the mission. Liu oh how? It sounds like a game, but it's very interesting. I haven't seen the scenery of Otherworld yet. Tasakasura. It's a pity that little Sakura can't go, she's too weak. Tasakasura, and the 4th Holy Grail War is about to begin. I always feel that my father will send me to the Mut family at any time. Asts, huh? Little Sakura, your father is going to give you away? Asts still likes Sakura Tasaka, the only child in the group who is obedient and sensible, and possesses the ability of, heroic soul grants flesh, unlimited magic power, with unlimited potential. So Ace was immediately upset when she heard that her father was going to give her away. Giving away such a nice kid? How nice it would be to give it to me. Whether you use it as a little sister or train it as a future fighting force, it is a very good choice. Uchiha Muki, that's it, Queen Sister. Because the memory copy given to everyone in the chat group can only be seen by themselves. Uchiha Muki told the story about Sakura to everyone in the group who did not know much about the world of Kusunayu. For example, why she was given to the Mut family, and the tragic fate she should have had. Uchiha Muki. That's the plot. It can only be said that little Sakura and her father Tasaka Tokiyami did bad things with good intentions. Uchiha Muki, but it's still Toki's fault. Uchiha Muki, at Fasaka Sakura, little Sakura, you should be able to issue tasks like my sister. Uchiha Muki, I will definitely save you then. Then I will bring your sister and mother. He. Tasaka Sakura. The little girl was shivering. Sister Miki was so scary. Others in the group were also speechless, and their feelings of feeling sorry for little Sakura were instantly ruined. Yamato Genryu Zikaruha, that's enough. You idiot. Yamato Genryu Zikaruha, let's quickly talk about the tasks you can release. Uchiha Muki, ha, Shinigami is a violent maniac. My Sharingan has just been promoted to Mangekyo. I hope you don't come to the Hokage world, otherwise I will definitely hypnosis you. Liu oh how? Oh, Mangekyo Sharingan? I saw in the group announcement that this is a bloodline unique to the Hokage world. After awakening, it will have several extremely powerful abilities. Asts, yes, I heard them talking about it during the chat. Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, Kamui, Suzu. Each one is amazingly powerful and very suitable for fighting. Liu oh how? Well, it's quite novel and worth looking forward to. Uchiha Muki, listen to me, don't interrupt. Uchiha Muki, according to the information in the chat group, I can indeed publish a mission about the Wagakure. Uchiha Muki, but I can't see the mission objectives, mission rewards and other information myself. It's quite strange anyway. Uchiha Muki, let me post it and try it. Asts, please start as soon as possible. The revolutionary army is completely unable to resist my ravage. I can't wait to fight with the ninjas of Otherworld. Uchiha Muki, great. Ding. Group member Uchiha Muki releases world mission, Revenge Wagakure. As the chat group prompt sounded, all group members put down what they were doing and clicked on the task information. Mission name, Revenge Wagakure. Mission goal, because a Wagakure sneak attacked group member Uchiha Muki's sister Uchiha Mikoto. Uchiha Muki wants to take revenge on the Wagakure. There is no specific mission goal, please perform the task freely. Task period, 7 days. You will be forced to return after 7 days. Task reward, after the task is completed, the chat group will rate each task member separately and distribute the number of draws. The prize pool will be all the specialties in the Hokage world. Task members, 3 people, randomly selected from the group. Asts, Revenge Wagakure. Very good. It's my favorite war mission. Liu oh how? The reward is the number of draws to draw specialties from the Hokage world. Did you read the announcement that the top experts in this world can even explode into stars? It's really exciting. Kasumigaoka Shiyu : Isn't the key point to randomly select 3 group members to travel to the Hokage world? It's not like the mission issuer selects the people like the game, but randomly selects them? This is too outrageous, right? Exclamation mark. Uchiha Muki, haha. Don't worry, senior, if you are unfortunate enough to get whipped, I will definitely protect you. Uchiha Muki, of course, as a price. Kasumigaoka Shiyu, it's really scary, you idiot. Compared to you, I think the noble man of the world who has been peeking at the screen is more trustworthy. Roy. He was in a mixed mood, and the innocent man was suddenly affected. Should he thank Kasumigaoka for his trust? Or are you depressed that you are being compared with the idiot Uchiha Miyuki? Oh, I'm a scumbag too, so that's okay. At this moment, the chat group prompt sounded again. The random selection of 3 mission members begins. Congratulations to Naruto Roy, Liu and Kasumigaoka for getting the opportunity to travel across the world and complete the mission. Liu, okay. Liu, sure enough, the God Killer is a person favored by the world. I said that my luck cannot be bad. It was all accidents before. Uchiha Miyuki, hey, is it an accident that it was strengthened 7 times and broken 6 times? Admit it, Sister Liu, you are the legendary African chief and you haven't run away. Liu, you will not forget that I am about to travel to your world, right? It seems that you need the education of love just like my disciple Yinga. Uchiha Miyuki, in the Hokage world. The beautiful white-haired girl's face darkened. Eagle, that unlucky apprentice who was almost beaten to death just for informing Liu, and was even tortured to the point of developing a phobia of women? Uchiha Miyuki, no, Sister Liu, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Liu, Humphrey, Kasumigaoka, so no one cares about me? I am really a miserable wretch. In the unknown fusion comic world, a beautiful girl with smooth black hair, a white headband, red eyes, a plump figure, and wearing high-heeled stockings. She was shaking her right leg rapidly, and her delicate and beautiful eyes like gems were filled with uneasiness. For Liu, traveling to the world of Hokage ninjas may just be a trip. It is a perfect opportunity to show the majesty of the God Slayer and the Demon King in Otherworld. As for Kasumigaoka, this is a super dangerous world full of war and killing, where strong men can easily shatter the earth and destroy mountains. Although the stop time of 5 seconds reward she received from the chat group was actually very powerful, but she doesn't have any fighting power, so what's the use of stopping time? Want to be the heroine of the Times Drop series? Wouldn't a beautiful girl like me really not be treated as a spy by those ninjas, tortured and made into hot weapons? Chapter 23 Kasumigaoka is Roy's wife in his previous life. Kasumigaoka's speech made the chat group quiet for a few seconds. Everyone can naturally understand what this beautiful girl is thinking. A person with little ability who travels to the dangerous other world will most likely not become a cool protagonist in light novels and comics. Instead, they will become cannon fodder, even more miserable than cannon fodder. For example, if you become a hot weapon, you can neither survive nor die. Soon, Uchiha Miyuki took the lead to comfort her. Don't worry, senior, I won't let others make you into a hot weapon. If you do it for me. Kasumigaoka. I should really thank you, Uchiha. Liu, don't worry, little girl, there's no need to worry. As a beautiful woman, she naturally knew what Kasumigaoka was worried about. Liu also comforted the group. If a teammate dies in Otherworld, it would be an insult to me, Liu, so I will never let anything happen to you. Xiazuki, thank you, Master Liu. In the room, Kasumigaoka stopped her thighs, which were almost shaking, and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Liu, the God Killer. Although all she knew about this person came from the group announcements and chats with several time travelers, she could probably analyze that the other person was a strong woman with a cruel personality but who kept her promises. What's more, following them through time was the celestial dragon Saint Roy, the hand of Hermes, the dragon of chaos Leviathan, the belt of Hercules, the god's escape. Roy, who possesses these noble phantoms, should be a powerful being that is not weaker than the God Killer. If you have the protection of these two people, coupled with your stop time for 5 seconds, bug ability, you will not encounter any danger even in the world of Hokage ninjas, right? Only thinking of Roy's previous absurdity and romance of I will support you as your wife, as well as learning about the evil deeds of other celestial dragons from the group chat, Kasumigaoka's cheeks turned red, as if she had applied a layer of rouge. Even though she seems to be a little filthy girl in normal times, she is a genuine young lady. Let alone being in love, she has never even held hands with a boy. Pirate World. Roy looked at the messages in the chat group with interest. Liu, are there also Kasumigaoka? They are two great beauties. Roy never hides his pursuit of beautiful women, especially when these are well-known female characters he liked in his previous life. He is just a common man, like beautiful women, like money, like to enjoy. That's why he identifies so much with his identity as a celestial dragon and is willing to protect the class he currently belongs to. For him, the attraction of Kasumigaoka and Liu is no less than that of delicious food to hungry wolves and money to poor people. Therefore, Roy also said in the group, don't worry, Shu, you are a female character that I have liked in my previous life. Like leader Liu, I will not let anything happen to you. Yamamoto, huh? This is the first time I've heard this from Roy. Uchiha Miyuki, TSK. It seems that His Highness Roy is also an old two-dimensional person. Kasumigaoka-senpai might be one of your many wives in the previous life. Kasumigaoka wants to cry but has no tears. What does it mean to like someone in the previous life? What do you mean by one of many wives? Why does this statement sound like a confession? The key point is that she really can't accept the Danlong people who like wives. It's so evil. The passage to travel through the world of Hokage Ninja has been opened. Please make all preparations for the 3 mission personnel and reply I am ready in the group. If you do not reply after 1 day, you will be forced to travel through. The sudden sound of the chat group prompt saved Kasumigaoka Shiyu, who was trapped in an embarrassing topic. Without any hesitation, Kasumigaoka replied directly in the group, I'm ready. As an ordinary person with little fighting ability, she had nothing to prepare for. Supplies such as clothes and food must be provided by the host, Uchiha. After all, we can't let her wander around the Hokage world wearing a JK uniform with high Z, right? Liu Ohao also quickly replied in the group that he was ready. Unlike Kasumigaoka, Liu Ohao is purely confident in his own strength, so he doesn't need to bring anything with him. However, Roy did not agree immediately, but asked in the group, does this mission talk about the time flow rate between our world and the Hokage world? In the world of god killers, Liu Ohao didn't care about this issue. Even if she returns from other world and finds that hundreds or thousands of years have passed in her own world, and everyone she knows is dead, she probably won't be shaken at all. After all, she is the God Slayer and the Demon King. This will not change at all with the passage of time. On the contrary, Kasumigaoka was so frightened that she broke into a cold sweat. She has parents, relatives and friends in this world. If she loses these precious feelings because of a time travel, she may regret it for the rest of her life. Fortunately, Uchiha reply made her sigh in relief. Uchiha, don't worry, Your Highness Roy. Uchiha, I don't know the specific time flow rate difference, but the chat group said that after you complete the task, the time in your world will only pass by 1 day. Picture. At the end of the reply, obviously to reassure a few people, Uchiha also thoughtfully posted a reminder about the chat group. At this time, Kasumigaoka was completely relieved. 1 day? It seems that we need to make some arrangements first. Unexpectedly, it was not the kind of setting where no matter how long the time traveled, it would only last a moment in this world. Roy couldn't help but shook his head. If he had just returned to the Holy Land and disappeared for a whole day, he would not know whether he was alive or dead, and there was no telling how much trouble would be caused. So Roy spoke in the group, wait a moment, I have to meet those 5 old guys. Don't let them accidentally kill Roger's wife to death because of the butterfly effect. I'm so sorry for him. Tasakasura, Yamato Genryu Zikaruha, Uchiha, Yu, Madara's big sister has a sparrow, I think I want it too. Yamato Genryu Zikaruha, shut up, you idiot. Kasumigaoka, our chat group is really dangerous. Not only are men staring at women, but women are also doing the same. Kasumigaoka, speaking of which, do you really want to include that pregnant woman in your harem? Mr. World Nobleman is indeed an extremely dangerous man. Chapter 24. Are you going to take action against Wanokuni? Holy place, conference room. Holding Stussy in his arms, Roy walked in and saw the 5 elders sitting in different positions. I don't know if these 5 old guys are sick. In the original book, Old Man Satan clearly went out, which shows that the actions of the 5 elders are not restricted. Cursing secretly in his heart, Roy turned his attention to the other person present. That's an ugly thing. Its name is Donquixote Masquerade. This guy is considered a well-known celestial dragon in the original work. First, he appeared as a villain on the Fishman Island. After being influenced by Princess Otoham, he became a decent person. He helped Shirahoshi and others during the World Summit, and was eventually sentenced to death by the Knights of God. He is an idiot who betrayed his own class. He is still a somewhat useful guy. Roy? This was not the first time that this idiot who was addicted to fishman saw Roy. Masquerade faced Roy with his ugly face and said dissatisfied, I came to the 5 elders first. You have to do it if you have something to do. Get in line behind me. After saying that, he turned back to the 5 elders and shouted loudly, the heavenly gold given to me every year must be increased by 30%, and I want to buy more Murloc slaves. You know how beautiful the Murlocs are. Boom. Before Masquerade finished speaking, a big hand suddenly grabbed his head from behind, then pressed it down and smashed it to the ground. Surprisingly, it was Roy. The force was so strong that spiderweb-like cracks were created on the floor. It hurts. It hurts. Are you crazy? This young master is a noble celestial dragon. Do you know what you are doing? It has to be said that the body of the celestial dragon is really strong. Masquerade was hit so hard that his face was covered in blood and his face was deformed, but he could still let out a scream full of energy. Very noisy. Under the astonished gazes of Stussy and the 5 elders, Roy frowned slightly and exerted slight pressure on his wrist. Bang, bang, bang. He grabbed this guy's head and smashed it 3 times on the ground. Crack. The sound of skull shattering was heard. Masquerade rolled his eyes. There was no good piece of flesh on his face, and he completely lost consciousness. Roy Saint. Stussy's long legs were trembling with fear, and her beautiful eyes were full of horror. She knew that Roy was very arrogant and seemed to have a very powerful background, not an ordinary celestial dragon family. This can be seen from the fact that he is not afraid of the 5 elders, 5 very high-status celestial dragons. But she really never thought that Roy could be so arrogant. He actually almost beat another celestial dragon to death in front of the 5 elders. Is he crazy? Your Highness. Roy, Saint Satan, who was leaning on a cane, looked like a kind old man. He stared at Roy with his somewhat cloudy eyes. Excuse me, what do you mean? Is he worthy of me lining up behind him? Roy said contemptuously. I don't know that the so-called garbage needs a good education to prevent him from making irreparable mistakes in the future. I think Masquerade will understand my good intentions. Satan. The corners of the 5 elders' mouths couldn't help but twitch. They wanted to scold, but they didn't dare. Their status is indeed nobler than that of most celestial dragons, but in the end they are just servants of him. But Roy is Imkin's designated heir. Naturally, they did not dare to offend Roy before confirming Im's true attitude towards Roy. In the end, it was Nasu Shiru who was holding the first-generation Kaitetsu to break the deadlock and took the initiative to say, I heard, Your Highness Roy, you mobilized a marine equivalent of a bus to call to South Blue to search for One Piece Roger's pregnant wife? That's right. A gentle smile appeared on Roy's face. Before Roger died, I promised him to take good care of his wife and children, so of course I had to send Marine to find them as soon as possible and bring them to my side to love and pity them. Nasushiro opened his mouth, not knowing what to say. He is a swordsman, undoubtedly proud, and has a more straightforward personality. He has done a lot of bad things in his life, but he has never done anything shameless like Roy, who took away someone's wife and claimed to be a good person. Or the wife whose husband died and is pregnant again. Really good at playing. Forget it, just do whatever you want. We can't use the Knights of God against him. As for Roger's wife, it doesn't matter. Roger is dead anyway, and that poor woman has no chance of turning around in the hands of this scumbag. Thinking about it this way, I feel a little sympathy for that woman. His name is Portcas de Rouge, right? Her husband was killed, and her pregnant self fell into the hands of a murderer. It was so pitiful and tragic. The 5 elders looked at each other, and finally the kind old man Satan spoke. Since you said so, after Roger's pregnant wife was captured by Marine, it will be your disposal. But, as soon as the words changed, Satan's expression became serious. You killed Roger, the Pirate King, and you ruined the world government's public execution. What do you think we should do about this? Roy rolled his eyes. Didn't I tell you all the methods? There are 2 more. Well, Nasushiro touched first-generation Kaitetsu to the ground and sighed. Gecko Moria and Clone Fruit ability users are both in Wanokuni. It is a dangerous place and the world government is also somewhat weak, so we need your power. My power? You mean? Roy narrowed his eyes slightly. I read in the newspaper that a huge bone dragon covering the sky and the sun appeared above the underwater prison. Come to think of it, the bone dragon Vice Admiral died at that time. The kind old man Satan took over the conversation and said with a smile, if you can take control of Wanokuni, the world government can send people to help you manage it, and sell it at a price that is 2 times higher than the market price. No, 3 times. What do you think about purchasing the sea stone and weapons in Wanokuni at a reasonable price? Well, the conditions are surprisingly good. Roy was a little surprised. He didn't expect 5 elders to offer such generous terms. 3 times the market price of sea stones and weapons was definitely a terrifying amount of money that would scare the world. Although as a Tanlong person, he has heavy gold and is not short of money. But this is almost free money. If you don't want it, it would be a bit ungrateful. But should it be said that there are very few idiots among people in high positions? Obviously, even if they didn't know that Roy's hand of Hermes could create the magical power of noble phantasm, the 5 elders connected the giant bone dragon with him. After all, the bone dragon Vice Admiral died as soon as Roy went to the underwater prison. Immediately afterwards, a giant bone dragon appeared, and the coincidence was not such a coincidence. Of course, this is also the reason why Roy didn't hide it deliberately. Again, having strength but not showing off is like walking at night in brocade clothes, which means nothing. Tanlong people are born to live above others, enjoying the worship of the world. The strong should have plundered the wealth, wives and children of the weak and listened to their cries and wailings. Ding! Congratulations on getting the opportunity to publish world tasks. Please check the tasks and choose whether to publish them in the chat group. Just when Roy decided to accept 5 elders' commission on Wanokuni, the notification sound of the chat group suddenly rang in his ears. After Uchiha, Roy became the 2nd chat group member who can post tasks. Chapter 25 Uchiha, I want to be His Highness Roy's wife. You go to Naval Headquarters, take over a warship from Akainu, lead a headquarters Vice Admiral, and go to South Blue together to find Portcas de Rouge. You can be regarded as the supervisor. By the way, Rouge is on Baylila Island. You just need to keep an eye on her. There is no need to do anything else to her. After leaving the 5 elders, Roy gave Stussy casual instructions. There are not many trustworthy people around him nowadays, including Stussy and Akainu. In fact, Shiyu of Rain should also be considered. That boy obviously admires him very much. But at this time, Amano Shiyu, who was only in his 20s, was too weak. It would be a good thing to train in the underwater prison for more than 10 years to save him from dying at sea one day. I understand, Roy Saint. Unexpectedly, Roy knew the woman's whereabouts a long time ago and was so interested in this pregnant woman. Stussy couldn't help but feel a little unhappy and a little jealous. Realizing this emotion, she was startled by herself. Is she crazy? Obviously not long ago, Saint Roy cruelly branded him with the private hoof of the heavenly soaring dragon and became his slave and dog. Now I am actually jealous of other women who will become slaves. Snapped. A crisp sound and a stinging sound from the rear headlights woke Stussy out of his chaotic thoughts. Calm down, Stussy. Withdrawing his right hand, Roy looked directly at Stussy and said, no matter what, you will be my best and the most trustworthy cute pet, and you are absolutely irreplaceable by others. Yes, Roy Saint. Then I will go to the naval headquarters to meet Akainu. The delicate body trembled slightly. After Stussy walked far away, her mind was still a little blank. Cute pets. If she had been called such a name before, she would have definitely felt it was insulting. And now, Stussy covered her hot, crimson cheeks, feeling like she was finished. As a slave, she would actually feel happy and satisfied with such a sentence. Roy Saint. Send Stussy off and return to your palace. What greeted them were 4 or 5 women who were beautifully dressed, but exuding a noble temperament in their bones. They are all princesses from various kingdoms who have had sex with Roy before. There should have been nearly 20 of them, but they were not slaves, and Roy would not restrict their freedom. Therefore, after playing, they returned to their country with satisfaction and looked forward to the next meeting. 3 hours later, reluctantly pushing the tired woman on top of him away, Roy had time to check out the opportunities he had obtained from the chat group to publish tasks. I don't know why, but unlike Uchiha, he can directly see the specific content of the mission. The mission is indeed related to Wanokuni. The mission goal is to control the entire Wanokuni. The number of people in the mission is the same as the mission previously released by Uchiha, which is 3 people. The task rewards are also distributed based on the number of draws based on his satisfaction, and the rewards are random specialties from the pirate world. Except for the mission itself, the other content has not changed much. Roy was lost in thought. Uchiha didn't have time to take revenge on Iwagakure, so she got the opportunity to issue a mission. And he had just decided to go to Wanokuni in person, but he also got the opportunity to issue a mission. Are the triggering conditions for tasks randomly formed based on the inner desires of group members? There are so few cases that Roy can only draw this conclusion at present. In short, this is not a bad thing. Anyway, group members cannot kill each other, so there is no need to worry about falling out. As for whether other group members will cause damage to the world they live in, just kidding. How many people in the group care about this kind of thing? Again, no matter how many people who have nothing to do with me die, so what? Driving those tired princesses back to their own country, Roy entered his private vault. In the vault, there are mountains of gold, jewelry, antiques, weapons and armor, as well as a dozen treasure boxes containing devil fruit. And this is just a small part of his private collection. After locking the vault door from the inside, Roy entered the chat group and said, "Are you two ready?" Kasumigaoka, "I'm ready for the school holidays." Liu, "I can't wait for a long time." Asts, "I'm really unwilling to lose the opportunity to compete in Otherworld. I hope I can be drawn next time." Uchiha, "Don't worry, my queen sister, there will be a chance sooner or later." Uchiha, "I can't wait to see the senior sister and the leader sister. But please wait a moment." Uchiha, Admiral. "Your Highness Roy, can you give me some gold? I'm a little short of money recently." In the world of Hokage, the beautiful white-haired girl has a blushing face. Even though she is very thick-skinned, she has never done anything like asking someone to borrow money. Yamato Genryu's King HMPH. "You idiot, like you actually still has money to use. Do you want to pretend to be a god to pick up girls in the ninja world?" Uchiha, What nonsense are you talking about?" Violent maniac. Her pretty face flushed with anxiety. Uchiha would not admit that she was really tricked by Yamato. As a very powerful ninja and with a high status in the Uchiha clan, it stands to reason that she should not be short of money. But who gave her a little too much wings? In particular, she has recently set her sights on Tsunade, the princess of the Sanju clan. Considering the opponent's character as a bad gambler, if he were a powerful person, he would be able to attract the opponent unusually, right? That's why she took the initiative to borrow money from Roy. Oh no, gold. After all, although money in the two worlds does not circulate, gold is undoubtedly hard currency. As for whether the sudden increase in gold in the ninja world will lead to inflation, devaluation, etc., what does it have to do with her? Roy, okay. Of course Roy doesn't know Uchiha plans, but this does not prevent him from lending money to him. Creditors and debtors are also an interesting relationship. So, he just took some gold from his vault, wrapped a big red envelope and sent it over. Uchiha, "Thank you, Your Highness Roy. You are so kind." Hokage world. Haha. I'm rich. Unexpectedly, it was so easy to borrow money. Uchiha excitedly hugged Uzumaki Kushina, who looked confused next to her, and opened Roy's red envelope directly. She was not worried that her secret would be known by Kushina, so she dragged him into this uninhabited forest and had the idea of letting him meet Roy and others. Then the place where she was instantly flooded with gold. If it weren't for her extremely quick reaction, she would have managed to escape with Kushina using the body flicker technique. I'm afraid they will become the first time travelers and Nine-Tails Jinchuriki ever to be stoned to death by gold. But at this time, she had no time to worry about this. Instead, her eyes were shining, staring straight at the golden mountain in front of her. The Tanlong people are so rich. I have never seen so much gold in the daimyo's treasury. A beautiful girl who travels to the aristocratic class of the Hokage world clearly realizes for the first time that there are differences between classes. Roy, a Tanlong man, just dug a little wealth out of his fingernails, and it was already an astonishing amount that she could not imagine. Kushina on the side was even more shocked and speechless. Her pretty face was full of confusion, and she even forgot to ask Uchiha Miki about the origin of the gold. Forgive her. The country of Whirlpool was not a big country to begin with, and yet it was destroyed. So let alone seeing it, she had never even heard of so much wealth in her life. This is actually a matter of course. In the final analysis, the world of Hokage is only composed of 5 large countries and a number of small countries. With few ninjas and few civilians, how could there be much wealth? However, the Tanlong people are actually exploiting the flesh and blood of nearly 200 countries in the pirate world. That is definitely a terrifying wealth that ordinary people cannot imagine in their lifetime. Uchiha Miki quickly used the seal scroll to put away the golden hill. Seeing such a gap for the first time, Uchiha Miki even had a crazy idea in her heart. If I become His Highness Roy's wife, will all his money belong to me? At the same time, unaware of Uchiha Miki's coveting of her property, Roy also spoke in the group. I'm ready. All 3 mission members are ready, and the world mission is about to begin. As the chat group prompt sounded, the chat group's first time travel officially began. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.